Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere, a European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv, hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzyczuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage.
Band and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Мріяти – загальновідома формула успіху. Мріяти і діяти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
I've always wanted to introduce them. Classic style, elegance, sense of rhythm, slow tempo, tart flavor. They've so much in common. Scent of rain and flavor of sweets. They know how to surprise day and night. Being with them makes me feel cozy. Which one of them do I love more?
Lviv is worth meeting.
Не боятися падінь – загальновідома формула успіху. Мати силу встояти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Chat with my colleague at the fireplace. Morning yoga classes.
To have my coffee served.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Hi everybody,
Hello everybody.
we are live from Lviv, where we have a wonderful event, a World Championship match between Ukrainian Grandmaster Maria Muzyczuk and Chinese Grandmaster Hu Ifan. For us, live from Lviv are women international Grandmaster Krivoruchko Vita.
And Grandmaster Mikhailo Alexeyenko.
So now we already can see the first two moves on the board. D4, Knight F6, and C4. Okay, so while they are still playing the opening, maybe we can talk a little bit what happened in two previous games for those who just joined us for the first time or maybe forgot or didn't pay enough attention. Well, the two games are behind us. This is game number 3. The score is 1.5 to half. Hou Yifan is leading. Day before yesterday, she won in 32 moves in more or less quite convincing manner, in my opinion. So the first two games started with e4, e5, but now we see that Maria decided to go for Catalan. I think quite a wise decision. It's a weapon of champions. Like
So Maria play for white today, and Hou Yifan play for black.
yeah. So we have a classical opening, Catalan opening. There's a book by Bologan, if I remember precisely. This is the position on, oh no, before, but one move ago was pawn on d7 and bishop on f1. I think his book starts here. Like all of the top grandmasters on high level, men grandmasters are playing this opening. This one is considered to be very solid and dangerous for black. We can see bishop b4 check. Bishop b4 check. If you give me one second, I'm gonna check their opening repertoires briefly to make sure. Yeah, very standard maneuver. For those who are not familiar with the ideas of this opening, I can point out that the idea is that bishop on d2, it may look like black lost a tempo, but in fact bishop on d2 is not placed well compared to c1 for several reasons, and maybe the main reason is from c1 it can go to b2 after b3 bishop b2 with powerful double fianchetto, while from d2 it doesn't have that opportunity. It usually goes to f4 or maybe g5, depending on what happens later. So, okay, let me check Maria's games. She did play Catalan more than 3 times in her life. Last year she had a game, but she didn't win. Bishop b4 check was still the game, bishop d2. This was a game Muzichuk Hademal Sharia. I apologize if I pronounce it incorrectly. And bishop d6 was played, so this position was never in Maria's repertoire. Let me check Hou Yifan's opening repertoire. She plays e6 on second move very often, g3, d5, bishop g2, bishop. Oh, she never played bishop b4 check. Okay, she used to aim for, if we can scroll back a little bit to move 4, she used to play always bishop e7. She didn't put the bishop on d2, but usually it involves taking on c4. So knight f3, she had many games like this. Castle, to be specific, 29 games for this position. And after castle, the idea is d takes c4. Otherwise, it is considered that white is going to play some queen c2, b3, bishop b2, and have quite pleasant advantage. So this was her games before until today. 30 games on this position was played after d takes c4. Today she chooses to go for bishop to b4. She never had it, so but this is considered the main line of this opening. So actually after move 5, they are both they never had this position in their life, neither of them. It doesn't mean they don't know anything.
Yes, but they play too fast, so they both are ready to play this opening.
They are definitely ready for this game, and now I think it's quite interesting psychological battle. Who would be the first one to think hard, which means that that person would be the first one to be out of preparation. So bishop e7, queen knight f3 was played, castle, castle, and knight bd7, still a theory, queen c2, c6, and now Maria is thinking there are several options here. One of the main is rook d1. Another, in my opinion, a slightly weird looking move. If you never played or seen these games before, the d file is open. Why would you play rook to d1 here? And quite often white would sacrifice the pawn on c4, and after d takes c4, e4 might get some rook d1 basically is very useful move. White is eventually playing to go e4, planning to go e4, and rook on d1 like really prevents black from ever playing c5 or something in the center. So b6 was played.
The idea to develop bishop to b7, of course.
Yeah, sometimes to a6, but
After a5, I think.
maybe after a5, or in case white does not have pieces to protect the c4 pawn. The main theoretical move here is bishop f4, but also b3 was played many times. So now we can see Maria thinking, trying to remember her preparation. So according to my database, there are grandmaster level games, 300 games with bishop f4 and 100 games with b3. They may lead to a transposition. So for example, after bishop f4, the main move is bishop b7, but also bishop a6 is playable. So, and yeah, okay, we're still waiting. We're not gonna guess the moves. I can look at her expression. She's trying to remember what was her preparation and what are the details in this line. It is very not obvious moves could be played. You know, it's strategically quite complicated opening, I think. Some weird looking moves like bishop b4 check and then back rook d1. So you have to know what to do in this position. She played bishop f4 quite fast. It means she's still in her preparation. So what I mentioned before was bishop b4 check. With this bishop standing on d2, it doesn't have that many options from d2. It cannot go to c3, it would block the knight and it looks weird, so it usually goes to f4. And there are several ways to play here. Very often black would at some point play knight h5 and ask that bishop to leave or capture it on f4. Bishop b7 and bishop a6 are the moves here. So, in my opinion, how I find it.
Is it possible to play for black knight h5 right now?
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's
what
one.
White will do?
Usually there are two options. Sometimes white would just ignore it and take the bishop and double the pawns.
Is it good for white to double the pawns on that file?
In generally no, and losing two bishops, but white gets really powerful bonuses for this positional sacrifice. This is square on e5 and more pawns in the center. So it's very common to just leave the bishop on f4, or sometimes bishop can go back to c1, and in case you go back to f6, we improved our position. Bishop was on d2, and now it's on c1, and then it can go to b2. But usually
so
black
we can play b3, bishop b2, yeah?
Yeah, but usually black would aim for f5 in that position, but we already have a move, bishop a6 on the board. Bishop a6. So how Ifan is choosing very solid line. I think she plays for a draw. Usually this is not the way you play for a win with black. I think she would be happy with a draw given the situation in the match. One win. So she's okay with making a draw with black.
But is it good for black to play bishop a6 without a5?
Usually,
because after a5, black has more space on the queen side.
I agree with that. I think the main idea here, you mean like in case white just protects the pawn, like b3 or knight e5 or knight bd2, there are actually four moves here possible. b3 is the main one, knight e5 second main one, knight bd2 and c takes d5. So in case white just protects the pawn, usually black goes for rook c8 and c5 very quickly. Just using the, if black spends tempo on a5, the tempo could be very significant. So I think here black aims for opening the position. So one of the main lines is b3, rook to c8, knight c3, and there are many options here for black. D takes c4, it's like highly theoretical position. D takes c4 is possible. White sacrifices that pawn, just plays e4. So we're just waiting for I think b3 or knight e5 is also possible. Knight e5 is possible. Black has several options here, so let us just wait for. This is still highly theoretical position, and so far by the time spent, I can tell that Hoifan is slightly better prepared in the opening. What do you think, Vita? Just given just the time on the clock. That's all my judgment based on the time on the clock.
Maria is smiling, so I think everything is okay. She tried to remember what she prepared at home, so.
I would maybe say that Hoifan has slight psychological edge. And the reason I think that is that she was the first one to play a move that she never played before.
Yes, it's true.
So psychologically could be significant. So for those who did not follow closely previous games, in game number 1, Maria played e4 and Hoifan played e5. She had one game in her career last year against I am from Chile in the match. She played e5 and that was it. So she never played e4, e5. She really surprised Maria, in my opinion. Yesterday, she also came up with a novelty, though it was the first line of the engine and Maria was aware of it. But unfortunately for her, she didn't play well after that and lost. And today again, Hoifan surprises her. I think that's a really good strategy for a match, just to play totally new, something new, because there are so many openings, you can hardly guess all of them, right? You can just make some judgment. She might play this, but mostly you would prepare for her main weapons, main openings. And here, the fact that she plays completely new, okay, in this case not completely new, but move 4 or already another one, that's a surprise.
So Maria took on d5.
C takes d5, C takes d5. Is going to follow. I think Ho is in the. Oh no, she's over the board. We're waiting for C takes d5 recapture. Usually this exchange in the center favors black because it decreases tension in the center, and the C file opens where black is slightly faster there. But on the other hand, White gets totally risk-free position with where knight on d7 is misplaced, while White's knight is going to come to c3 at some point. White has a4, a5 ideas, knight to e5, and followed by e4 at some point. I would say this is a risk-free position for White, but I believe that she played this. It's a little bit strange to me that Ho is thinking. She did not expect c takes d5. There is normally, no, c takes d5 is just automatically. She's just thinking, what did she prepare?
Maybe she's thinking about Maria's next move after c takes d5.
She's trying, okay, obviously she never played this sort of position. She always played bishop to e7 without a check and immediately takes on c4. So this type of position is completely new to her and to Maria as well, but well, with White, it's always easier. And so she never had this symmetrical position in the center. She had d takes c4 with open position and some squares in the center. And here we have different situation. And I would say that is interesting idea from Maria because she clearly surprised her. Just take a look, right? And keeping chances for some edge. Obviously, I think Maria assumed that she had some much longer preparation after this. After c takes d5, c takes d5, specific preparation I don't think matters that much anymore. We have symmetrical position with slight edge for White. On the other hand, it really increases Black's chances for equalizing. Because the position is symmetrical, there are no weak pawns, no weak squares, no bad pieces, frankly. Maybe knight on d7 is not the best piece. All the other pieces are more or less okay.
Knight on d7 protects well on e5.
Yeah,
so
it's just waiting for the vis-a-vis to come to e5. Another reason, for the record, for the rook to be standing on d1, very often White plays knight e5. and it's really annoying. Black cannot recapture, or at least it's very dangerous to recapture. Let's maybe put it on the board. C takes d5. Let's say knight takes e5, and in case of capture, after from the rook to the queen and e4 to follow at some point, opening the bishop, opening the rook. That's another idea to put the rook on d1. Suddenly we have this powerful X-ray, but strange from the beginning when if you're not familiar with the ideas in this position. So yeah, after c takes d5, I have no doubt that c takes d5 would be the answer here. I don't think what can she possibly do? She can take with the knight maybe on d5, but I just don't
but
like.
Pawn on c6 will be weak.
Yeah, but the pawn on e2 also needs protection. So in fact, black is not losing a pawn after any capture, right? With any white black with any piece and still keeping the pawn because pawn on e2 is hanging. But usually black wants to keep it symmetrical. For example, after knight takes d5, I would consider just some moves with maybe moving away the bishop and then kicking that knight with e4.
Okay, but
and then
what
knight
is the best square for the bishop? C1?
C1, I like the C1 square from the beginning. So knight d5 looks a little bit strange to
but
me.
Maybe knight b4 in the future.
Of course, it's possible. It's not losing anything. But after this, white has more pawns in the center. Just that's unless you can play c5 very quickly, which I have some doubts given the rook on d1 and the bishop on g2, the diagonal, the d file. It could be really dangerous. If you don't play c5, I'm gonna grab the center and seize the initiative. So and if e takes d5.
She took c takes d5.
Ah, okay. So I think she was just thinking in general. She was not choosing the move. She was just trying to get a little bit deeper into the position.
She made the same during the first game.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Knight e5.
It's quite common for strong chess players, even if you know exactly what to do next move, just to think a little bit harder to understand the position better, right? Especially if you play it for the first time. Yeah. So I think she knew her next move. She was just, she didn't expect c takes d5, so she had to come down, look, take a fresh look at the position, and then make a decision. We can see that Maria played knight e5 very quickly.
Yes.
Knight e5 very quickly. And after rook to c8, it may lead to some sort of transposition from another line. Oh, I remember this one. So this is a possible line here. Rook c8 looks very logical. Comes with a tempo. The queen cannot really go anywhere. The pawn on e2 needs protection. But there's knight c6 move, which gives two bishop advantage to white.
Queen e8, yeah.
Actually, queen is not hanging, which is funny. But queen is not really hanging. But queen a4 might be a big threat here. Queen a4. So there's move knight h5 here, bishop b5. But in any case, white takes that bishop on e7, and because it has no place to go at the moment, and white would seize two bishop advantage, which is actually quite pleasant. This, even though the position is closed, two bishops is always nice to have. But there's also knight takes e5, d takes e5, and knight to d7 possible. e4, and rook c8, some forcing line, and knight c3, transposition. d4, rook takes d4, and queen c7. Actually, highly theoretical position, apparently.
Rook a d1.
Rook a d1, and knight takes, oh no, knight takes e5 loses to rook. Rook to d7 might be very unpleasant. Rook f to d8 in that position. And black would maybe take on e5, or sometimes even just play it like this. You know, black is ready to give up a pawn just to block that bishop on g2, just to keep it not active. Okay, we're a little bit far in the theory here, but this is a theoretical position with close to equality position. After knight, okay, but actually white doesn't have that much choice if black goes for that line. But I have a feeling that Ho does not know it. or maybe she's trying to remember it. So this is long theoretical line which involves sacrificing a pawn and then actually not taking it back very fast. So it's quite dangerous, and Maria is clearly prepared for this scenario. At least that's my feeling. So move 12, knight to e5. So after rook c8, black gets very solid position, but gives white 2 bishop advantage. And knight takes e5 leads to a complicated position opening. The position gets opened, and it involves specific analysis, I believe, because if you're one pawn down, it's not very safe if you're not 100% sure. So
what do you think? What Fine will play? Knight takes c5, rook c8, which move?
I never played this line neither for white or for black. I just witnessed top grandmasters playing it. So I have to check with the database. There were rook c8 is the main move, knight takes e5 is second main. Once there was knight bishop to b7 played, but
It's too passive.
okay, maybe in any case it gives white 2 bishops.
Yeah.
White's gonna play knight to c6 and take either of the bishops, depending on what do you do. So I think Ho is facing a tough choice. Either to give up 2 bishops and keep it closed and solid, or open the position and with unclear complications if you did not analyze it at home. I'm just trying to understand whether there were any possible transpositions in this move. In this game. Yeah, there are so many lines to consider. So
black has no space in this opening, so maybe it's better to exchange the pieces and open the position.
Yeah, it makes
Sacrifice
some
that
sense
pawn.
to give away the dark squared bishop, given the fact that bishop on a6 is quite well placed, I would say, vis-a-vis on g2. If it wants to escape, it will face exchanging, probably. And in case white plays e4, white would be
So you
with
still
isolated
speak about
pawn.
bishop b7 in this position?
Bishop b7 or rook c8. In any case, in both cases, white would get 2 bishop advantage. Maybe it's better to give away the dark squared bishop. Rook c8, yeah. That is what she played. Rook c8. According to the theory, only knight c6 is, at least in this position. There was some game with knight on c3 with some sort of transposition, but if you're not playing knight c6, black is very solid and, though still playable, but knight c6 looks very promising.
Yes.
She's gonna play it fast, yep. Knight c6, she plays it fast. Knight to c6, and now, okay, now I'm wondering, so the queen is not hanging on d8, right? In case the knight d8, rook c2, just black is winning. The knight is trapped. Let us put it on the board like any regular. Let's say king h8. Let's say king h8. Any random move, and knight takes d8, rook takes c2, and suddenly white is losing. Okay, it's not going to happen on the board, given the fact that the move is already played. Yeah, okay. Bishop b5 is one of the moves in this. She played it fast, right? She played it really quickly. So they are still in their preparation. Knight takes e7, it's the only option.
So now, do you understand why we finally thought about c takes d5? She is thinking about this move, bishop b5.
Yeah, she was probably remembering what to do after knight e5. Otherwise, black doesn't seem to have any problems. She was trying to remember, okay, rook c8, knight 6, bishop b5. Okay, knight takes e7, queen takes e7 is going to be on the board, and knight to c3, at least very logical. There were 5 games with 25 average ELO in this position, and all of them ended in a draw, at least according to the statistics.
Knight takes e7.
Yeah, all of them were a draw. So knight takes e7, queen takes e7, knight c3, what could be more natural than that, right? Knight c3 to follow, and now answering your question, black do want to have pawn on a5 and bishop on a6. And the reason is because bishop on a6 wouldn't feel safe. At any moment, queen a4 would be extremely unpleasant. With the pawn on a5, seizes some space, keeping the bishop nice square on a6. So we're expecting knight c3 and a5. And yeah, on grandmaster level, all games ended in a draw in this position. Though the computers prefer white here, computers really like two bishops. So for those who like computer evaluation, the strongest engine so far, Komodo, gives like 0.3 to white advantage, more approximately. Yeah, so white will have risk-free two bishop advantage. I think black can only hope for a draw here. Okay, we're assuming there's going to be no blunders. It's a reasonable assumption given this is a world championship match. So we are expecting knight c3. There's no other logical move. Pawn on e2 needs protection. Queen to d2 looks a little bit weird to me. We're gonna play knight c3 anyway. So I think this is the same.
C8 attacks the queen on c2.
Yeah, I mean queen d2 could be like the only other possible choice, but I don't like it. Just next move is anyway knight c3. So I think this is exactly the same with Ho thinking after c takes d5. There's only one option. She's just trying to remember and figure out what to do next and remember some analysis. In my opinion, her team could have said, all right, knight c3, you get two bishops, risk-free position, you can play on the king side, you can prepare e4, you can play on the queen side, risk-free two bishop advantage, just try to press her. If you fail, it's going to be a draw, it's not the worst scenario.
But we saw during first game and second game that Maria spent a lot of time in the opening and in the middle of the game. So do you think is it good to think right now if she is sure that knight c3 is correct move?
That's a good question. Not sure how to answer that. We have exactly the same time on the clock. So yeah, normally if as long as you don't have less time than your opponent, you're fine. You can be in time trouble, but if your opponent is even in a worse situation, you're fine. So as long as she sticks to Ho's time management, she's gonna be fine. And I have some parallels with the first game, where she also gets some slight edge with the risk-free position, but very solid for black. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be the case as in previous game, where she was black and was facing some problems. When you have a pleasant position with slight edge, in this position after knight c3, you can do literally anything. Just move pieces around and nothing's going to change drastically quickly. Black's not going to play e5, it's going to open the bishops. Black, we're expecting some quite quiet maneuvering. Usually it doesn't, even if you're in time trouble, you can do it quickly. Just you can.
But if you have 5 minutes for 20 moves?
No, that's not the best idea, yeah. So we're expecting knight c3 and a5 to be on the board. Queen d2 is also possible, but I don't see.
Queen d2 because.
But I don't see a logical reason to play it. Still, your next move is going to be knight c3, wouldn't? Right? Where else can you put that knight? I don't see. After knight c3, black cannot. Okay.
She played
yeah,
this.
she played it. Moving on. Knight c3, I expect rather quick response a5. It seems very reasonable to prepare the square on a6 for the bishop. Even though there's no like direct threat right here, right now,
so
for white.
a5, what white should play in this position?
Let's assume a5 is going to be on the board. Let me check the games. Rook a c1 was played in all Grandmaster games.
Put the rook on the open file.
The last piece that never moved needs to be developed. So we're expecting a5, rook a to c1, and bishop a6 just in case black would move the bishop back. And actually queen d2 was the next move in all the games. So probably it would lead to a transposition.
Why queen d2? Why not, for example, queen b1? With the idea to push e4 in the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, normally you would want to open the open files for the bishops, right? So let's say queen b1. We're pretty sure it's going to be at this position, going to be on the board. So queen b1. Yeah, maybe the only reason to play queen b1 is e4, right?
Yes,
Otherwise, it looks a little bit weird. So let's assume black plays some, let's say, useful move like h6.
Or
Just
maybe
some
rook f8.
rook fd8 is more logical, but even after h6, I think let's say h6. Let's assume you play e4. That's what I do if I play chess. I wonder, okay, my opponent's idea is the following. Does it even work? I'm gonna ask that question. Let's assume she manages to make this idea alive. So let's say
after
takes.
d takes c4,
Yeah.
White will have isolated pawn
Yeah.
on d4.
So let's say takes again.
On e4.
Yes, on e4, let's say, and then knight goes to f6, and black gets really good square
You
on
can queen
d5.
takes c4.
Yeah, you
That's
can take with the
position,
queen. Knight
f6,
is
and then we can
queen
go.
somewhere. It. I don't like this d5 square. My next move, if you go queen e3, let's say, I'm gonna play something like bishop to b7.
And then game is better for black.
And
because
suddenly
with
black could
isolated
have it.
pawn.
That's why I wanted to play h6 to prevent you from pinning me at
Yes,
some
yeah.
point. So it's actually, so I'm not sure which is the best plan here for white. It seems like playing e4 and keeping the isolated pawn, unless you can break through with d5, you know, for the bishops and keep the two bishops. Otherwise, I think white can actually think about f3 and e4.
After queen d2, do you mean?
Let's say, yeah, let's say queen d2 is gonna be on the board, and in all the games they played h6. Rook fd8 also looks logical. In all the games they played h6, and 3 different games, 3 different grandmasters, h3, rook c2, bishop f3 was played. I'm not sure what could be the plan here for white. I think white should just keep the tension. Just keeps the pieces. Maybe h3 to h3 and g4 makes some sense. Just grabbing some space.
h3 and g4?
Yeah, just h3 and g4. There was one game.
Interesting.
Let me check who was playing. That was really high rated, 2689. h3 with the idea g4, and then okay, Matlakov Aronian, October last year. Let's check. World Rapid. h3, rook fd8, and still rook c2 was played. So I'm expecting some quiet maneuvering. Rook fd8, rook c2.
Knight, rook dc1 to double the rooks.
Double the rooks. Knight e8 was played, rook d to c1, and there was some maneuvering like this. Maybe there's some point to grab some space on the king side. h3, g4, and then yeah, let us maybe wait for the similar position to appear on the board, because now they are both definitely out of preparation, given the time on the clock, and so now I think it's critical, like in previous game, to come up with some sort of plan. Like in last game, I think Hoyfind succeeded. Okay, let me try to explain what are possible ideas for both sides here. What could black do? What can white do here? I think black needs to go a5 and move back the bishop to a6. And white will have to be careful. Black can have some idea b5, b4 at some point. Just seizing more space and getting rid of the knight on c3. And fighting for some e4 square maybe. So that's one idea. Another idea, very common maneuver here, is knight e8 and knight to d6. May look a little bit strange, but knight aims for c4 or e4, and could be unpleasant for white. Maybe white would have to play b3, and then that knight on c3 might be shaky, yeah. And h6, rook fd8, knight e8. This is Aronian's game. Let me check some other games. Let's say Ponomarev Grishchuk 2010. Yeah, all the games ended in a draw. Yeah, Grishchuk played very aggressively. He played queen b4 and then rook to c4 and then double rooks. Really aggressive play. Even that is possible depending what white is doing. So this is black's play. a5, bishop a6, and maybe doing something on c file, or maybe maneuvering knight not immediately to e8, some useful moves like h6, rook fd8 first, and then maybe knight can go through e8 to d6. White always have to calculate this e4 move, but it involves having isolated pawn, and I'm not sure if... By the way, after e4, at some point d takes e4, knight takes e4, black can go knight d5 immediately. You know, just taking the control over the d5 square, so white will have to be very careful. Another idea that comes to mind is to play f3 and e4, but it's a little bit artificial, I would say. White would have to calculate d takes e4, f takes e4, and e5, or f3, e5 immediately, you know. White... so I would consider moving the pawns on the king side or doubling rooks on the c file. b3 is always a useful move. Actually, now that I think of, I would really want my bishop to be on a3 for white here. I can imagine something like b3, a4 on the board, and then somehow maneuver the bishop to a3. That would be really powerful diagonal. Because on f4, it's very shaky. Black can play knight h5 at any moment, or h6, g5. Doesn't feel comfortable. That's why h3, g4 is one idea, or move the bishop someplace.
But maybe black has time to double the rooks on c file and bishop a3 is not dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. In most cases, the rooks would be gone. Maybe if I were white, I would aim for exchanging all the heavy pieces. So I assume all heavy pieces disappear, only light pieces on the board. That would be a very pleasant position for white, because those pawns on b6 and a5 would be constantly under bishop's attack from c7. Then white can aim for f3, g4, e4, you know, without queens and rooks, you shouldn't worry about the king.
Knight h5.
Oh, interesting.
So it's something
My apologies,
new,
I didn't guess. Knight to h5 was played. Knight to h5 instead of a5. Ho played knight to h5. Ho e5. Actually, there was one game. Huh. Chinese championship.
It's interesting.
Interesting. Yu Yangui played this knight h5.
So
Very
what
strong
happened in the
grandma.
game?
It was
Bishop
2
e2.
years ago. Very strong GM, now 27 plus grandmaster.
f6. Okay, we can repeat if you v1, yeah, bishop f1, knight h5.
Yeah, so this was Wang Yang, Yu Yangui, 25-51 for white grandmaster, 26-67, both Chinese grandmasters. I have a feeling that she might have played in that championship, and she might have seen that idea. I will have to check that.
Queen d2.
So knight h5 was played, bishop to e3, very reasonable. No, sorry, the queen is still on c2. The queen is still on...
No, I played 17 more.
Oh, but...
17 more.
Oh, sorry, yes. So bishop e3, knight went back to f6, and Wen Yang played queen d2.
Bishop a6.
Bishop a6 went back, and that was a repetition. Bishop f4, knight h5, bishop f4, knight h5. Yeah, we'll have to check the tournament situation there to understand why white agreed for a draw.
I don't think that Maria will play same.
Yeah, she's not gonna do that draw, that's for sure. That is for sure. So interesting, but Yu Yangui is very strong GM. He was the winner of first Qatar Masters, the strongest open tournament so far, beating Kramnik and Giri. And last year, he was also leading in that tournament and having tie breaks with Magnus Carlsen, which he lost. But still, I think that's a huge achievement. So really strong GM played knight h5 here. So that's not a bad idea to follow his game, especially given that he made a draw. So we're expecting that white's gonna move that bishop away someplace. E3, any place is reasonable. E3 is more logical, more human, I would say. Though, now that I look at, there might be a chance to move the bishop to a3 just like I wanted. To play bishop c1.
Right now?
Yeah, it may look strange maneuvers in Catalan. And then let's assume you go back. I am not sure that's the best option.
Then
Assume
a4
then a4 with idea, maybe b3, the pin could be very annoying. But Oh, let's say knight h to f6. Let's say, and now a4, bishop a6, and let's say b3. Can I play like that? If I put my bishop on a3, that would be excellent. Queen b4 is possible.
C3 is weak right now, but it's
Yeah,
not
if
easy
black can
for
use
black
it
to
quickly,
use,
but I
yeah.
don't see how. Let's say queen b4, I play bishop
Bishop
b2,
B2,
but I'm not threatening bishop a3 at the moment. Black has time to double the rooks.
So
Let's say
rook
rooks.
C6
Let's say rook
or
somewhere.
C7.
Rook c6, c7. Rook a to c1. Ah, that's the problem. If rook d to c1, the pawn on d4
Is weak.
is not protected. If rook a to c1, there's no bishop a3 anymore. So maybe b3 doesn't work here. Yeah. If white can do that, if I can put the bishop on a3, that would be a huge improvement for white. But let me consult with the stronger mind, the engine. b3, he says queen b4 is necessary, but he suggests interesting move knight to a2 instead of bishop b2. Knight to a2, and then but then queen goes back, and white still doesn't have bishop a3. Queen b2, and then maybe queen a3, which would make some sense. In general, exchanging queens, in my opinion, favors white here, because then white has free hands to launch the pawns on the king side. You can do whatever you want on the king side. You can play g4, f3, g4, e4. You're not scared for the king anymore. So if I were white, I would want to exchange queens. So, yeah. Okay, we are very smart here with engines and databases. So my recommendation is to go bishop c1 and then try to put it on a3 through a4 and b3, or somehow, like, because on f4 it's not attacking anything and it can be exchanged or attacked. On a3 it would be very well placed on that diagonal, putting pressure on dark squares. So I would aim for bishop c1 here. But we assume that Ho is going to play knight h to f6. Black has some active ideas like f5. It's very typical to play f5 in those positions, exactly in this position, to play f5. And white will almost never have e4 option. Yes, black did weaken the white squares, but on the other hand, this bishop on g2 is now going to be forever not working, or white will have to exchange it. So this is also possible line, unless there's some tactics on d5. No, I don't see one at the moment. Bishop to e3, yeah. Bishop e3 is slightly more natural because you don't stay in the way of her rooks. But if this idea would have worked with bishop c1 to a3, that would be a huge improvement. So bishop e3.
So as I understand, the main idea for who you find to make draw for black and try to win for white.
That's her plan. She immediately retrieves the knight to f6. She's not even thinking about f5. It's aggressive approach, but she doesn't need that. She just wants a draw. I think it's a very reasonable approach, at least. So far, it's been working for her.
I played many times this opening for black, and it's really very difficult try to win
Yeah.
here in this opening.
Luckily, Hoifine doesn't need a win today. She will be definitely okay with a draw. On the other hand, maybe what I would do if I was on Maria's place, I would repeat the position once, keeping in mind that she used to have, and then play something differently. Yeah, I would go bishop f4 and then go back to e3 and then play rook ac1. Just first of all, it gives you extra minute on the clock for 2 moves, and secondly, you're approaching move. Yeah, given the fact that she used to have a time trouble in, maybe not in both games, but in previous one, it would make some sense to do that. Yeah. So yeah, we're expecting queen d2 or rook a to c1. Both very logical moves. I don't think Maria now is going to aim for... the point is, if you play rook a c1, you can just forget about this maneuver to a3. and you will have to do something differently. You will have to move the queen, double the rooks, just slow play, and that bishop is slightly doesn't have any active part, at least so far. So what else can she do? She can play a4, just kicks that bishop. Let's say a4. Let us consider a4. Let's say white wants to keep the rook on a1 and try to do something on the a file.
Bishop
a4.
a6.
Let's say bishop a6. And now, for example, queen b3.
Queen b3. What
Queen
is
b3.
main idea of this move?
I want to unpin my knight.
Yes, of course. And
I
what
want
else?
to have an option, maybe a queen a3 exchanging queens. I pointed out it's in white's favor, but of course it depends on what is going on the board. But I believe white has a lot of time at his disposal. So for example, I think I can play queen a3, queen takes a3, rook takes a3, then I can go back to a1, then go to c1, then play b3, and then exchange rooks and get some slight. I played this similar pawn structure endgame in with Alexander Ipadov, and it was really easy to play for white, and I won, and it was really pleasant experience for me. So maybe that's why I want my bishop on a3 and exchange all the heavy pieces. Then those pawns on dark squares on a7 and b6 could become vulnerable, because with heavy pieces bishop cannot really go to c7 or b8, it will get kicked out. Without heavy pieces, those pawns are vulnerable. So in general, I would have this queen a3 idea. Maybe I have a5 now as an option. Let's say if you do some rook fd8 move, a5 could be unpleasant.
It's typical idea of middle game.
Yeah, but here I'm not sure the b file gets opened. Bishop c4 is possible. So several ideas: unpinning the knight, maybe queen a3, maybe a5, and rook dc1 to follow. So at least psychologically that would be interesting. We're like trying to show our opponent that you should have played a5. If Ho had pawn on a5, this a4 bishop a6 wouldn't be that there would be no a5 ideas anymore. That would be less unpleasant for black, I would say. So yeah, I would consider a4 as an option here. Gonna consult with the engine here. Wow, a3, one of the best moves. I'm gonna ignore that.
Okay.
I'm gonna just ignore this a3 move. I don't see a single idea. Preventing queen b4. No, okay. Moving on.
f3, your idea, as you thought before.
Yeah, computer says f3 is one of the moves
Then
in
maybe
this position.
bishop f2 and push e4, yeah?
Could be. So this bishop on e3 looks weird, but on the other hand, in case black wants to go e5, that would not be a good idea for black to play e5 at any moment now, I think, because after d takes e5, the rook on d1 starts working, the bishop on g2 starts working, and bishop can go to d4, putting significant pressure on black's position. So computer gives f3, rook dc1, rook ac1. What does he say about my a4 move? He still gives equality in all the variations, but I can give like a human evaluation. It's white has two bishops. That's the evaluation. White has two bishops. That's the evaluation. White is slightly better till the end of the game, unless something drastically changes. So yeah, it depends which plan. I can totally see how he finds plan. Just make a draw. She's fine with going back and forth. Just bishop f4, she's going to go back and forth. She does have some useful moves like h6, like a5, rook fd8, and she's going to, whole game, she's going to be asking, what do you do? How are you going to beat me here? You know? I'm just standing. I'm just moving pieces around. What can you do? And if white pushes too hard, I believe she's going to try to seize the initiative. Given the fact that she's one point ahead, she can afford some risks. In case white pushes too hard, she's going to afford some risk, because if she wins today, well, that would be really good for her, increasing her chances to win the match. Okay, so what are our predictions here? a4, queen d2, f3, rook d2 c1.
Bishop f4, bishop c1.
Yeah. No, bishop c1 not here.
No, after bishop f4,
sure,
knight
sure,
h5
yeah.
and c1.
By the way, she can borrow Hui Fan's idea from previous game. Remember, she kept the rook on a1
Yeah.
and opened the position with a4, a5, and penetrated with the rook. There's something similar here. Normally, rook ac1 you do with your hand automatically.
Yeah.
And now she can play rook d to c1 and try to do the same as Chloe did to her in the previous game, you know. That's my plan. I'm going to do that. And what are you going to do here? I think she's close to deciding. What do you think? It's like she's waiting for, she's ready to punch. That's my impression. With a move, of course. Okay, so we're gonna wait here. I think the next 1 or 2 moves from white would show what is her plan here.
Yes, of course.
What is this position is critical, like in previous games. It's time. Both players finish the development more or less. Rook on a1, rook on f8, still not really in the play, but the development is over. Now it's time to come up with what's your long-term plan here. And usually the plan should involve moving pawns, especially in closed position. In open positions, you can just play dynamically, actively. Here, you have to come up with a plan. What's your plan? Which pawns are you going to move eventually? So a4 is one of the ideas. We'll try a5 or bishop to a3. We're going to play there. Another plan is to move pawns on the king side with f3 or in the center. f3, bishop to f2, and then e4, g4, something like that. Quite... not risky, but well, demanding approach. So the price of a move increases. After f3, g4, you really weakened your king. But I think the position can afford taking some risks here. I mean, like weakening the king slightly in hope to get some space or initiative. But I can see she's looking at the queen side. She's not looking at the king side, right? No?
I'm not sure. I think she's looking in the center, actually.
Yeah, we'll see what has. So next several moves should show what is white's plan here. Black's plan is pretty clear. Just do nothing, more or less. Just slightly improvement of the position and no active plan. And white, on the other hand, has to come up with what white's going to do eventually.
When did you play this game with the part of Alexandra?
A4. Okay. I don't think it's a secret anymore. I helped him for the World Cup last year. I helped him.
And it was training game?
Yes, training games. Yeah,
so Maria couldn't see this game and couldn't see this idea to exchange the queens?
It's my notebook and my laptop.
Okay,
this one.
So now we know your secret.
The whole world knows my secret. So she did play a4. She did play a4. Engine suggests bishop to c4 here.
Bishop c4?
Yeah. When I turned on the engine, it said that bishop c4 is...
Was the idea to stop maybe queen b3?
Maybe. Or maybe he wants to provoke b3, weakening some squares and the c file, and then he's... okay, now he's saying bishop a6 is also fine, so...
And bishop a6 is natural move.
More human move, I would say. On the other hand, bishop c4 looks a little bit weird.
As usual, we want to put
like
the knight on
anyway.
c4, yeah?
Yeah.
Not bishop.
The bishop does not feel comfortable there. It does have some idea, but maybe the idea is to have a5 possibility to play a5. If you don't play b3, I'm going to play a5. If you do play b3, I'm going to, of course, move the bishop away. Oh, my apologies. Thank God I was using engine. You can scroll back one move.
Bishop e2, yeah.
That's his idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Cheap computer tricks that I missed. Bishop to e2, suddenly white is in big trouble.
So queen takes c2, rook takes c3.
Yeah. So in general, bishop to c4 is a weird looking move because b3 is useful move for white anyway.
Very interesting idea, yeah?
Yeah, so... but
so
white can for
white
sure
play?
prepare. Rook d to c1 can prepare that move. b3, so white can... just rook d to c1 seems reasonable. But then knight g4, queen f6 we should calculate. Interesting. Yeah, okay, computer changes his mind now. He's saying it's not the best. Yeah, okay, but it's a tricky move. Bishop to c4. If she
And
plays...
Huifan is thinking, so I think she will play this move, bishop c4.
Well, she's for sure considering it. She's definitely not considering bishop to c6, blocking the c file and putting the bishop behind the pawn. So there are two options here for black. c4, slightly computerish move, I would say. For blitz, it's perfect. Just bishop c4, b3, bishop b2, yes.
Yeah.
But for world championship match, it's that trick will not work. On the other hand, it might be objectively a good move to have a possibility to play a5 and then go back to a6. So that's definitely what she's considering now. And now that I think of, Maria can play or queen b3 if bishop a6, or rook d to c1, queen to d2, and try to play a5. So, okay, after this a4 move, it's clear what's going to play on the queen side, right?
Yes, of course.
I don't think we're going to
see
see f3 g4 anytime soon, or f3 e4. So, yeah, Huifan is thinking. Human move, bishop a6, slightly computerish move, bishop to c4. But I remember in last game, one of her last moves in previous game, she did this bishop b3.
Yeah.
Really impressive, in my opinion, move. Objectively the best move, but very computerish. Just keeps the rook unprotected, where there are so many other logical-looking moves, and that was the strongest move according to Engine. Okay, these are modern chess, you know.
Okay,
Young
but
players,
bishop b3 was this idea to put on the same diagonal that
once you
spin.
spot the move, it becomes clear that's definitely the best one. But it didn't enter my head at all. So, yeah, on the other hand, I just missed bishop takes e2 trick, so yeah, maybe you shouldn't really, yeah, well, so we're waiting for the move. So, while they are thinking, we can, for those who just joined us, we are live from Lviv, Ukraine, World Championship match, Women Championship match between Maria Muzyczuk and Huifan. We are in this beautiful Potocki Palace, 19th century king building, I can say. Just only the richest people lived here. It's beautiful architecture.
In the center of our city?
Yeah, it's in one of the central streets of the city. We'll soon have we'll have a drone flying around, and you can spot it. It's very beautiful place to be. It's actually a museum now. We're playing in a museum. Quite a recent, nice tradition of chess tournaments to play in museums. Oh, bishop c4. You can see some paintings over there. There are paintings around.
Yeah. Do you know this story about this picture? Yeah, Maria and Huifan?
Yeah, there was
Amur picture, and Huifan asked to change it before match.
Yeah, I read that the arbiter said that it's inappropriate, and so we're hearing rumors. We're not sure. I read somewhere that the arbiter asked that it's not appropriate to have, okay, you know, amours, they are naked angels, baby angels. So she asked to replace it, and now there's another,
with
still
flowers.
beautiful with flowers, beautiful painting with flowers. So.
Bishop c4.
Bishop c4 she will play. Okay, Ukrainian fans assume and really hope that my b3 move will not be happening on the board. So we're expecting some improvement for white, like rook d to c1, preparing it. a5 is also possible. It's computer's suggestion. I'm not sure if white is entirely ready to play a5. Queen d2 is another option. Bishop to f3, by the way, another option.
Bishop f3, what is the main idea of this move?
Protecting the e2 pawn.
And then push b3, b3?
And then maybe b3. Also, I'm preventing knight g4. By the way, knight g4 could be very unpleasant here. If you move the bishop away, queen f6 attacks two pawns, d4 and f2.
But if knight g4 and bishop f4?
Then black, it's one of the lines of computer.
For example, a5, can we play?
Let's put it on the board, let's say a5.
Knight g4, yeah.
Mostly
try?
computers suggested it after rook d to c1, where the pawn on d4 is not protected anymore. But the idea is, let's put it knight to g4, and in case bishop moves somewhere to
F4.
d2, for f4, black can kick it with g5, so you have to go back. It's quite a risky approach. And let's
But
say
you
if you
open
go...
your king.
Yes, for sure.
It's
That's
a
why I'm
little
saying that's
dangerous.
computer suggestion. That's not mine. So bishop to d2, let's
Yeah.
say, and suddenly queen f6, and two pawns need protection. That could be a
But
problem.
maybe it's better to play bishop c1, your
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the rook on d1, this queen f6 is not dangerous at all because d4 is protected. But in case of rook d to c1, let's move back to the position that is
So
now on the
instead
board.
a5, if you will play
If rook d to
c1,
c1, which looks
knight
very
g4.
reasonable, you know, the open file, the rook on a1 is placed, you have to calculate knight g4.
Yeah.
You have to calculate it.
knight g4
otherwise-
it's a typical idea
very,
in the middle.
and I'm not sure what to do for white. Let's say bishop f4, g5, bishop d2. The question is white just losing a pawn here? Queen f6, queen f6.
I don't like this position for
Me
white.
neither. I don't see a way to protect both pawns unless to play bishop e3, which looks a little bit ugly to me.
But we have already developed the rook to d1, so why we need to play again rook dc1?
Because we already used the d file when we played knight e5. Yeah, rook dc1 is a mistake. Computer says rook dc1. Okay, inaccuracy, I would say. Knight g4 and bishop f4, g5. What is he suggesting? Queen f6. Oh, he's just sacrificing a pawn, giving white advantage. Interesting. He says you just lose the pawn and open the position. Interesting. Oh, that could be, like he's saying rook f1 is a good move here.
Third
And
time
in case you take on d4, he plays h3, and the g5 pawn is hanging. Why didn't he take on g5 immediately? Just no specific reason. Just he's saying h3 is better. Okay. So, yeah, but this is definitely a line to consider when you play rook d to c1, because white can end up in trouble if you don't calculate it carefully. So if Maria is going to play rook d to c1, I expect thorough thinking on her behalf. She's going to think for a while because knight g4. Maybe she can just say, okay, why would I spend so much time considering it? I have some other useful moves like bishop f3, like f3, like queen d2. I don't want to go into those crazy positions.
Yes.
That might be a reasonable way to go here for white. So, yeah, I think she's going to think for some time here. And I think we're going to go for a short break now. And we'll see you shortly.
Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere. A European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv, hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzichuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage. Bend and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Мріяти – загальновідома формула успіху. Мріяти і діяти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
I've always wanted to introduce them Classic style, elegance, sense of rhythm, slow tempo, tart flavor. They've so much in common. Scent of rain and flavor of sweets. They know how to surprise day and night. Being with them makes me feel cozy. Which one of them do I love more?
Lviv is worth meeting.
Не боятися падінь. Загальновідома формула успіху. Мати силу встояти. Формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Chat with my colleague at the fireplace.
Morning yoga classes. To have my coffee served.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere. A European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzichuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage.
Band and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Так.
Опять, до речі, рекомендація комп'ютера. Hello, everybody. We're
Hello.
back after some short break. Frankly, not too much has changed on the board. Maria thought for a while and
Played A5.
played A5. Played A5, one of the recommendation of a computer in this position. She did spend a lot of time, didn't she?
Yeah, again.
About 20 minutes, maybe we'll have to check on the online translation. She did play A5, and it's host time to think. So
We
okay,
discussed this move, A5.
that's why she played A4 actually.
Yeah.
I was not sure whether white is entirely ready for such opening of the position. I'm slightly afraid for white that theoretically the pawns will exchange, let's say takes, and then somehow the A7 pawn will be exchanged for B2 pawn, and that would lead to a rather quick draw. I'm not sure about specific move orders here. So let's say B takes A5.
Rook takes.
A. That's definitely the first line to consider. And
Knight
now,
B6.
and now, I'm not sure. The pawn is hanging. I'm trying to think maybe Rook B8, Queen B4, some sacrifices. Let's say Rook B8. You take. Well, that's at least the first.
But
move.
how it's possible
Queen
Queen
B4.
B4?
And then Rook F to C8, Volga type compensation, you know, like two rooks on the queen side. Not sure if that is correct. The pawn is hanging, you protect it somehow with Rook B1 maybe, which looks a little bit weird. And then let's say Rook F to C8. I'm not using engine at the moment. I'm gonna start doing that now. Oh yeah, I was wrong. I was just wrong for black. He says white has extra pawn and you don't have enough compensation.
Yes, I think so. He has pass pawn on the queen side.
Oh, the rook was on D1. And my apologies. Thank God I'm using engine. Instead of Queen B4, there's a slightly better option for black.
Bishop B3.
I'll have to be more focused now because I'm not looking for tactics. This is such a quiet position that I'm not even looking for any combinations. But they are always out there. They are always around, even in most quiet-looking positions. So Rook takes A7 is a huge mistake. So Rook B8 does, after exchanging Rook B8 makes some sense. White has
Maybe Rook B1 right
maybe
now.
Maybe Rook B1 makes sense, protecting the pawn, preventing, okay,
And
not
with the idea
preventing,
Rook
but-
takes A7
Yeah.
after Queen B4.
And now some Rook B7 maybe? Do I lose a bishop after B3? What do you think? Do you think I'm losing the bishop?
I
Not
think you
sure.
can.
I definitely can, yeah. But
Bishop
maybe I'm
B4.
not. Maybe
Queen B4?
Maybe I have Queen B4, yeah. Again, blunder, B takes C4.
Yeah.
I was, so it doesn't work. So Rook B7 might be losing a bishop here. Doesn't look good, yeah. Yeah, okay, maybe Queen D8 is saving the rook moves and I go to B5, but that doesn't look right. So these are definitely the lines that Ho is considering. So, yeah, Computer says white has some edge here, but not much. So maybe b takes a5
is not good move.
It's definitely move to consider,
Yes.
but maybe it's not the best.
So what black
What
should play
else?
in this move, in this
I
position?
wish I knew. Maybe queen b4. Queen b4, rook a4 might be possible. Queen b3. Let's say queen b4. Let's consider queen. My idea is that if you take pawn on b6, I'm gonna play queen takes b6. Again, bishop b3 is possible. Instead of a takes b, bishop b3 is possible. So queen b4 is definitely a move to consider. And in case white takes, a takes b, bishop b3, queen moves, bishop d1, and game over. So queen b4 taking is not an option. So far this is the move that I like the most. White will not take, white will play rook a4 maybe, instead of a takes b. Instead of a takes b. And rook a4. Let's say position starts to get complicated with lots of calculations. Let's say queen b3 is possible now, but the queen looks slightly weird there. Maybe I can just move away my queen. Also bishop b3.
But how you
was
can
possible.
use it? You have not second knight to play knight d2, something like this.
No, I thought maybe move the queen away and then rook a3 just kicks that queen back to b4. But what did I gain? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So queen b4. Queen b4 is definitely a possibility here. Yeah, computer likes queen b4. Rook a4, and if queen b3, he says queen d2, and still some edge for white. Still some edge for white, but the position becomes complicated. b5, b4 is possible. So they are both considered. That's why she thought for a while. Ah, okay, now I see. Because when you wanna play a5, you should consider queen b4. You might be losing an exchange or a pawn, right? If queen b4, you do some move, b takes a5, black wins a pawn, and that's. Let's put it easy, it's unpleasant to lose a pawn when you had a safe position and suddenly you can lose a pawn. So the reason for thinking for a while is understandable.
What if b takes a5, rook takes a5, and queen b4? Rook a4 again?
Good
And
question.
queen b3 then?
Good question. So let's put it on the board. So where is it? Yes, instead of a takes b, instead of queen b4, b
After
takes
b
a,
takes?
yeah, rook takes queen b4. Another, yeah, these are the variations they are definitely considering. Maria considered and still considering, and Ho is choosing between those options. Queen b4. Yeah, rook a4, maybe.
Queen
Rook
b3.
A4, queen b3. And now just moving the queen somewhere. Maybe to a1.
b1, do you mean?
Oh, c1, b1, yeah, somewhere there. Maybe b1 just to go a little bit away from the c5. Oh, queen c1, bishop e2 was a trick. If I play queen c1, bishop takes
But
e2.
still bishop takes e2, no? Or rook a3 maybe.
Yeah, there's...
If bishop e2,
so this is your line, bishop e2.
we have rook a3.
Queen c4. Oh, instead of queen c4, there's bishop d1 also.
Yeah.
So, okay, after queen takes, queen b4, rook a4, queen b3, maybe we have to protect the... No, we cannot protect it because of bishop fork again. Okay.
So we have guest today.
We soon will have a guest, secret guest now. We're still trying to figure out what to do here. I was not being... I should have been standing up. Here you go. This is your microphone. Thank you. Our guest, for those who... what is this? don't know, is Alexander Sulipa, Grandmaster, coach of men national team, Lviv citizen. Yeah. Yes. So we have lots of GMs here in Lviv, for those who don't know. How many Grandmasters do we have?
I tried to calculate near 20.
Near
20 Grandmasters.
Like right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Who
Not
lives
through
in
the
in
history
our
like
city,
in most
yeah.
cities. Right now.
And near 5 women Grandmaster.
Yeah.
But women we can easily to calculate from Latinska, yes. And I think yes, five.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I missed somebody.
Yeah. So, as a coach, what do you think about the match? What can you recommend maybe to...
It's difficult, you know. You must know very well the situation inside, as how, for example, Maria feel. She's ready to fight or not ready. If I understand well, the first game was a little bit warm up, yeah.
Yeah.
Something, and now they play Catalan, yeah, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Catalan, okay, this is one of second of Maria is playing Catalan, so if I understand well, is a recommendation of Pavel, if I understand well, but okay, so this is actual position, yeah?
Yeah, no, the A5.
But actually, we find off a draw after knight h5, bishop e3, knight f6. Yes, so Maria didn't play bishop f4.
She didn't offer directly. Indirectly, she immediately went knight h5 on move 15. Knight h5, bishop moves, and immediately went no f5, no other moves, just immediately, which means like I agree for a draw.
Okay. Yeah.
But Maria played queen d2, so. I think she wants to fight.
But why not rook e1 in front of a4? I don't know. It's when it was
bishop a6.
No, a4 was played on 17.
Sorry.
The game. So
a4, yes.
A4.
Maybe.
In which position do you mean?
Queen d2. What's
queen d2.
Well, also interesting.
Yes, we calculated this line.
This push and pound, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and
bishop c4
might have been a better plan instead of a4. So queen d2.
Queen d2, doubling on c line, and after
and exchanging just then. Yeah.
Maybe yes, one of them.
And then just
slowly, go slowly. Maybe f3 to plan bishop. Maybe f3 bishop f2 something with e2 e4. Some space advantage to bishop. You know, you can play maybe.
Slight but lasting.
Yes, lasting long term. Small long-term space advantages with two bishops, you know, etc. Karpov, Kramnik, for example. So,
and Ukrainian fans hope that Maria is one of them.
Who play very well with two bishops, like.
Okay, so did you notice that in all of their games they had a4, a5? In the first one, a5 wasn't played, but a4 was played in all the games.
Yes.
You know, just they like to, they're not moving the rook from
to play on the queen side.
Maybe they have some sort of fascination with this a4 move. So,
but I think it's a good idea to play Catalan because it's more convenient to style of Maria to have some complicated game. I think she's an attacking player, so should try to open position or should to complicate the position because it's a chance for Maria. This is a chance. It's not a chance to play positional maneuvers games or play. So this is better. So they take.
I'm afraid that the edge between win and a draw, it's really close to a draw now. If two pawns disappear on the queen side, that's it. We can just agree for a draw, right?
Okay, you tell about men chess. You know, this is woman chess. Everything can happen.
What do you mean, woman chess?
I think everything can be.
Rook to a5. So they did exchange pawns, and now we're expecting either rook b8 or queen b4.
Queen b4, it's queen b4 interesting.
Rook
d, double rook d1, yeah, maybe, I think.
Rook da1, we did not see that.
Yes, logical, I think.
da1, and that's what I'm afraid of. Rook b8 and takes on b2.
That's
it.
Afraid draw.
Just draw.
Queen b4, you see my idea.
Yeah, she did play queen b4 very quickly.
Yeah, yes, they want to change everything.
That's why I was afraid of this a5.
But if they
might
change,
be slightly
yes.
that could be it. That could be just
Yeah, but
a draw.
if there are changing of pawns, yes.
There's no more play left if pawns disappear, unless white has like 2 rooks on 7th ranks or something. There should be something horrible for black to not have a draw immediately.
So maybe it's not best plan this pushing pawn.
I was considering to play a4, but not play a5, and eventually move the bishop to a3.
Yes, but the weakness is square b3.
If I can manage that, then I would have really pleasant edge.
Yes, if you have.
Yeah, but computer is suggesting rook to a4 here, and we were not sure what to do after rook a4. We were not sure what to do on queen b3. Queen b3, and now computers. And the trick that we considered, if queen moves, just the e2 pawn is hanging. If queen b1 was the idea, queen a1 could look. There's suddenly bishop takes e2, and if rook a3, there's bishop d1.
Yes, with 2 rooks.
Yeah, 2 rooks and a pawn. That's why it was just losing. Black is better. Okay, black is better.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but here computers suggest queen to d2 and gives an edge for white. Why we didn't consider queen d2 because we thought queen a1 might be the. And here bishop e2 again. Wow. In this quiet position, I'm just not seeing tactics, you know. If this was Sicilian, I would be only looking for tactics. Here I'm looking for maneuvers, and suddenly computer says bishop takes e2 is possible. The idea is if queen takes
c2,
rook takes c3, and b takes c3 is just not good, because that's it. Black has pawn up with, we are not going to even consider this. So, and if rook takes a7, rook c2, the position simplifies and white has nothing. But on bishop e2, he says rook d to a1.
Yeah,
bishop moves, and rook takes a7. Suddenly the position, becomes dynamic.
Yes, so if you can keep this pawn b2, still is fighting position.
This is the computer suggestion. I was not seeing that. First of all, it's not nearly on the board, but they are both considering something like that. So rook a4 seems very logical. Queen b3 is a reasonable response, just attacking the queen and then no exchange. Queen d2 only good move for white. And now computers suggest one of the options is bishop takes e2. Actually, moves that can, maybe not easily, but if you're not in that mood, like I am right now, you can not see it for a second. But now it says rook d to
But
a1.
you thought it's woman chess, so I'm sure they
No, they will find.
They are really
this
good
at championship matter. I mean, they will find this.
Bishop to c4, rook to a7, and suddenly I cannot say that this is a risk-free position anymore for white. But I think it's really hard to win a game without just doing some risks, right? You have to risk at some point anyway. Here we have dynamically unclear position. Eventually black could be much better because those 2 pawns can become weak. Eventually white can be better if that pawn pushes really far. So I have no idea what is going on. Computer says rook b8, knight d1. Wow, I don't like it. Computer gives advantage, but I don't like it.
Well, maybe because problem of the d7, the 7 range, as you said. No, you want to play bishop b4. Why?
I'm gonna turn off the engine now because now he's saying that g4 is an excellent move.
Yes, h3, g4. I thought about this. It's a good idea.
Was the idea to push g5 and to use the 7th
If
strand?
h6, just h4.
h4.
Wow,
yes.
this is really a computer. I don't think it's gonna be on the board. It's
But
too
it's
risky.
logical.
Even though objectively it's strong according to the master.
I saw slowly h3, g4, but okay.
No,
maybe
g4, h4, and
means
he gives some edge for white. Okay, so suddenly the position becomes really complicated. This is the position on the board. Queen. Oh, rook d to a1 was played. My apologies. Oh,
it's not good.
It's not good. We were considering this move, but just rejected it because of rook b8. What can you do? How can you not lose the pawn? Knight d1? Just
no, I don't believe this bishop c.
No, knight d1, even bishop b3, bishop takes d1, queen b2.
Okay, I see only move by bishop c1, but I don't believe this can be.
Oof.
No, in this position, yes.
Rook d to a1.
Rook b8.
She played rook b8 immediately.
Yes, of course.
This is the position on the board.
bishop c1 is too passive.
How can white play for a win here? Computer says takes on a7, exchange queens and play something like g4. Very often he's really wrong about evaluating the symmetrical play. Sometimes I've seen the engine where we have like only 4 pawns, like e, f, g, h for both sides, rook and the knight. And white has like knight on e5 maybe. Like in Queen's Gambit, everything gets exchanged. White has knight on e5 and rook on a7, and he's really happy with that position. No pawns on the queen side, just the king side. It's a dead draw. You just protect the pawn on f7, and eventually you just equalize. And he gives like 0.2, 0.3, and he says that's a good line to go. Yeah, but now Stockfish says rook to takes a7, queen b2. Let's put it. From human point of view, it looks like really close to a draw.
Yeah.
Just no weaknesses, symmetrical structure, bishop on g2 not working.
Another position was much better, yes, as you say, rook e4. Yeah?
Computer will disagree with you. He gave 0.2 to white, and now it's 0.5 in case that position appears. He's saying just bishop f3 and moves the pawns.
g4,
yeah? Okay, still some edge, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it can be much. He's just fascinated with the bishop's
h6, yeah, h6.
Yeah, h6, he says h4.
Slowly and after. Okay, but it's...
No, usually it was so some h6, just waiting move.
Too long.
Yeah. Well, the point is after g4, black may have e5.
Yes,
that's the point. If g4, black can go e5, and if takes, knight takes, suddenly this is a major problem for white.
But why should play g4?
Yeah, so computer, that's why he says you should play h4.
Just waiting more.
But no, preparing.
G4, g5 then, yeah.
But I don't know, h5 slightly weakening. Rook c2, I can harass your knight.
Yes, of course.
It looks really close to a draw,
Yes.
despite what engine is saying.
If I change one rook, it's the draw.
Yeah. She will keep on playing it. She's not going to agree for a draw, but despite computer evaluation, I'm going to use another engine. Maybe he's going to be more human.
What does it mean? More human engine? Engine for me is
Komodo.
Komodo more engine.
Slightly, maybe like maneuvering.
Don't see any different. I think it's
all of
if
them.
You play deep thinking. Deep. It's the same. They put the same evaluation if you play deeply.
Both the strongest engine evaluated something like 0.4 to white's favor, and both are suggesting bishop f3 and let's play.
It's big. 0.40 or so. Yeah.
0.40 for Komodo.
Big.
That's big. For Stockfish, it can just give too much. Okay, it's now less than 0.4. Now, I think human touch is. Okay, let's see if what human way to keep on playing here without exchanging those pawns. I don't see one. Do you see a way? Bishop c1? No, that looks
I don't believe it.
Okay, a6. Yeah,
Bishop
just c1, a6, and we're just standing. There's no
plan. This is the problem.
Yeah, we're thinking that let's say white is not going to exchange those pawns. White can play bishop c1, but then black just plays a6, and there's no way white going to play b3 here. It's too much pressure. And if you don't play b3, your rooks are stacked. It's just dead equal. Black has rook fc8 and just standing. So what knight d1? Just no. Just that's it.
Was there any comments?
That's the evaluation. No. And yeah, I think she has to go for that. But from human, okay, once we're using engines, we see that that's probably the best way to go. But I'm not sure. No, I don't see any other way here.
What do you think about Maria Muzikchuk and Huifan as the Grandmaster?
No, they are top players. I think who's best female players in the moment. I think they are both players. Okay, we can add some very strong female players like Koneru. Anna can be present. Okay, there are a lot of very strong players, but at the moment they are better one.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to point out that since the last year, Maria significantly improved, at least in my opinion. You know, when she became a world champion, she was rating ELO-wise number 10 in the world, or even 12, something I'm not sure precisely.
Oh, she play like a computer.
Like a computer.
But you know, she play, I remember in Reykjavik, as is Euro tournament, she dominated on first board.
Just 7 out of 8.
Totally
7 out of 8. She scored 7 out of 8 with terrific performance. And when she became a champion, she was 25, 30 or 20 something. Now she's 25, 60, and Ho lost her rating slightly. So now Maria is now number 4 in the world, and Ho Fine is number 1.
Sure, she will play this take and bishop f3 is
strategical.
Here, I mean, here is this position.
So we're expecting exchanging the queens and some bishop f3 with idea g4, h4, g5. But yeah, usually that's a big indicator that it's going to be a draw when the pawns are only on one side of the board. No weaknesses.
Yes, problem that even you win this one pawn, imagine
eventually you win, even if you win some pawn, there were too many exchanges of pawns and pieces.
Rook ending, for example, it's very difficult to win.
Yeah, computer will be very happy, like 4 against 3 rook ending, or 3 against 2. He would evaluate this more than this one, and that cleared that draw. Okay, no, that. But
I mean, with one rook,
on their level, that's a draw. So.
Right.
So okay, they did exchange and bishop f3. Yeah. So, 23 moves played.
But she's thinking too much, Maria Muzachuk. I mean, what do you think about this?
She's always behind on time in all the games.
And same situation today.
But you know, it's usual for chess players. Basically speaking, when we have a little bit less rating, we think more times than your opponent, higher rated.
Because
I don't know
slightly scared of the opponent, make sure, just thinking twice, 3 times to make sure that you... Yeah, because if you play a weaker player, you feel much more confident.
Yeah.
You know, just I'm gonna beat him, her, and I can play fast.
And you can make mistakes also.
Sure, but if you're confident enough, you can go with it. So, what do you think, what Ho is going to play now? H6
so
logical move, or maybe attacking the knight on c3 is more human, do you think? Like rook b3, just asking that
to
knight.
Change one rook. I mean.
Yeah, we're suggesting to exchange
if you change one rook, it's draw. Yeah.
If we change 2 rooks, that's a dead draw. Yeah. If we
but
change
with 2 rooks, it's playable, I think. With 2 rooks, still it's playable position.
Yeah, but I'm afraid if I take off all the rooks and turn on engine, he would still say it's 0.4, no, and that's just
draw,
unthinkable to win it. Oh.
Bishop f3. Yes.
Bishop f3, yeah. Yeah, I don't think the time on the clock is an issue now, right? There are 17 moves left, and the position is pretty simple. White can just go back and forth. Nothing's going to change drastically. And yeah, the worst case that can happen in time trouble, White loses the advantage, right? So I think Ho is a little bit nervous. She quickly looked at the clock, even though she's much ahead on time.
How you see?
How can
from China's players that they are nervous? I never understand this psychologically.
No, I'm just not the expression. I'm just the behavior. Like she quickly looked at the clock and then looked at the board. She has 15 more minutes. Why would she be so? If you're not nervous, you just look at the clock and then you look at the board, right? And she did it like really quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, but. Yeah, Maria is relaxed. She's definitely not going to lose this one. She has slight edge for next 15 moves. Okay, it should be a draw objectively, but...
But I see she's not happy.
She's not too happy with it.
On this position.
Yeah. So maybe it's...
She wanted to have maybe better position, but right now...
Yeah, I think for her to change the course of match could be interesting, like Ho did yesterday. So far, she's trying to, at least that's my impression, she's trying to have with White. Okay, White color is the main one in matches. Usually never Black wins, unless White is really want to push too hard. So White color is the one to play for a win. And in 2 games, she chooses really solid, risk-free, tiny advantage. Like really small advantage, risk, like in first game, Italian, just slide, tiny edge, okay, draw. Here also very solid Catalan, 2 bishops, no chances to lose. And on the other hand, Hoifang risk a lot in the previous game, I think, doubling pawns, you know, weakening the king, 2 bishops, etc. So maybe that could be her strategy eventually, just to take more risky decisions, not play something more aggressively in the opening. Yeah.
So,
yeah, thank you
thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, thank you for
that you came to us.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Alexander Sulipa, coach of national team. One more picture.
Actually, we are working.
The main task for Maria to find the weaknesses of you opening weaknesses.
Yeah.
This is the main task on the match. I mean, main idea. But for there, maybe she start to play this d4.
Yeah.
Maybe we will see c4 next. I don't know.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Okay. H6, computer suggestion. They start to play like computers. I don't like it.
Why not?
Not sure why not, but yeah, okay, H6 is a human move. It's a human move. Yeah, okay. I take it back. They don't play like she plays like a human. H6, just making some air for the king. Next move probably doubling the rooks or playing rook b3, and the engine suggests something like h4 here, or king g2 could be possible, or what else can... Okay, the only plan I can see for white is to go g4 h4. I don't see any other way to improve the position. It's g4 h4.
So we discussed the g4 e5, no?
Yeah, so here precisely in this position g4 could be met with e5, and the idea being that if I take, black takes, and and after taking the just equal, there are some exchanges, it's going to be a draw. So g4 might be too quick here. So this is the position now on the board. What else can we do? h4.
Yeah.
It's quite reasonable to play h4 first, that when you play g4 you will have some sort of threat with g5. And Maria thinking, what else she can do here? I'm not seeing any other active plan except h4. She will go there eventually, but maybe she would want to play rook c7 and try to double rooks. That is possible. But the knight on c3 will need protection. So rook c7, rook b3, and knight has no good place to go.
Yes. And if knight
maybe
b1.
She's considering exchanging one rook. Is it possible to go rook b1 here? Just rook b1 and
rook takes b1, knight takes, rook b8. No.
B8, rook b8, knight to d2, and something like this. Still slight edge for white, but black is really solid here. And we're gonna have a new guest now.
Yes.
New guest now, please come in. Here is your microphone.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. So pleasant atmosphere here.
Sorry, my apologies. Maybe you should do it. Some technical issues here. I hope you can excuse us for that. Maria did play H4 for the record. So our guest is
Beautiful woman.
Olha His, PhD candidate of physics and mathematics scientist, psychologist, author of many mathematical and books on logics for children, and Fulbright scholarship, and my mother. So she was just in the near studio in Ukrainian one, and what were you discussing over there? I assume children and logic.
No, mostly they ask about psychology, what is I was not so
Interesting.
good because I'm more working in child thinking, in logical and creative child thinking, how to develop child thinking in middle and primary school, what is approach to this, and I give some puzzle to them, how they connected with chess, because chess and thinking subject which we develop in Ukraine and implemented in many schools have a lot of connection, a lot of in common, because both of them try to develop different aspects of child thinking, like strategical thinking, analysis, logical, creativity, combinatoric, etc. Ability to take decision, fast decision. It's a lot of in common. So I'm mom of grandmaster, and he also PhD in math. I recommend that to all children in the world to try to play chess and try to develop your child thinking.
So this thinking subject that you're referring to, is it in any other countries in the world? Like this is specifically logical thinking, special?
Not only logical,
not
creative
only
also,
creative,
non-standard creative thinking also. During 16 years we implemented this subject in Ukraine, and now we try to go to international market, and maybe we'll develop game. Like I develop different game.
Logical creative
game to play on.
Could you give our viewers and us some puzzle, and then we'll keep on talking, and then we can give the solution to those who will wonder.
Okay, we're just talking
tomorrow.
About the next audience we are talking about feeling, how we feel time, and I can give a task about time.
Okay, it's very interesting.
Vita and Michael decided to meet each other in 5 o'clock. Vita's clock is ahead and 5 minutes.
5 minutes ahead. Okay.
But she seems that it is late, 10 minutes. At what time really Vita will come on for a meeting if she thinks that she is in time?
Oh, be sure I will be late. Doesn't matter what time on the clock I wait.
The clock is 5 minutes ahead, and she says she thinks it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes late. What is the real time that she will arrive? If she thinks that she come exactly in time.
Okay.
Homework for
not homework. You have like 5 to 10 minutes.
But we cannot see answers on chat, so we can check it later, and then maybe tomorrow we will discuss this answer.
Okay. Okay. And,
thank you.
What else did you discuss in the studio? Like about
time, we were talking how people feel time. For example, you can measurement if you have like a so-called child feeling of time or adult feeling of time. You can measurement for 1 minute, real minute on your clock. Close eyes and feel how you feel when this minute
when do you think the minute is over?
Already over. And
so you
if
can count, I guess.
Your time is more than 1 real minute, it means you have child feeling of time. If it's less, it means that you have adult feeling of time. So I failed this test and have 1 minute and 20 seconds instead of Despite of my age, I have child feeling of time. What is probably
That's, I
very
guess, good,
useful.
no?
No, maybe I feel that I'm younger. But for chess, I think that it's important to feel how much
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot look at the clock all the time.
Yeah.
You have, so why is it the childish? Okay, not childish, child.
I think
because you think you have all the time in the world,
because your child feels that everything is. You have still a lot of time in your life. Adult already probably feels that
you lost some
not
time, maybe.
not so much time. I should be faster. I should mobilize. No, but sometimes very rare in children I met adult feeling of child time, but in many adults I notice that they have child feeling. And as usual, such people late for meeting because they count. I need only 10 minutes to prepare, but really they need 15. They don't feel this, and always late, always late.
Interesting. So, what is the answer to the puzzle? I'm a
Tomorrow you will know about this, not today.
Tell me what I like when with this subject implemented at school, and the children, for example, could not solve this task, and then I said, "Okay, are you give up?" And they said, "No, we think." It was like my pride. Right?
You were really proud of it, yeah?
Proud of them. They don't want it. They wanted to think, and even one child later said, "Your task didn't give me sleep because I whole night your task was in my mind."
That's really not common for other subjects in school, right? So that you want to do them. You say, "Okay, thank God I did my homework." You know, that's usually the common approach.
Because in our course was approach always that a child should do this by himself, not you can give a little hint, but mostly it's like a challenge to find solution in situation which it's unusual for you, that you didn't study this at school, and how you will be managed this situation. Will you be able to find solution? How your behavior, how your feeling, it's very nice.
Yeah, because in math you have to just, they tell you how to do it, and then give you like bunch of exercises from the same, but from tiny little angle, another one, just to repeat.
And with such approach, we only can develop to children reproductive type of thinking, but not productive, creative. But now everywhere in the world looking for people who can generate own idea.
We have Google for everything else,
right?
All information you can now find on internet. How to teach children to think, what is really important. And so this is a project we implemented already 6 years. They show very good result. Logical, only for 1 year of work, studying this course, logical thinking increased 2 times, but creative
increased 2 times. What is increased 2 times?
Increase, for example, we compare to school. Not increase, we compare to school where this subject was delivered, those another where they are not. So logical thinking was twice developed, and creative, what is interesting, 4.5. 4.5.
So there are some tests to measure that, yes?
Yeah, we have special tests to measure both type of thinking, and it was impressive because it means that we didn't develop exactly early age. It's a time for when child generate a lot of great idea, and we really at school didn't give opportunity to do this. We only teach to repeat, to learn, but not generate of an idea. It's a very big gap in our education, what we try to cover. Till now, we think that it was success. No, it was success. Many schools, thousand children work with this thing.
So we have, since September last year, we have chess in schools in Lviv. And for how many schools in Lviv have this thinking,
Subject.
creative thinking
At
subject.
least that I know 25, and over Ukraine it's hundreds. I even
Didn't
full list.
calculate?
I didn't calculate, but I see that how many print every year printed, and people buying and develop. Even if there are no such subject, parents buying, work with
Separately.
chess, yes, separate.
So we're working, Ukraine and Lviv are working in that
On
direction,
chess and
implementing
thinking,
chess
yeah,
and thinking.
Because smart people, thinking people, it's like a wealth of every country, I think. It's much better to teach child how to think that give some quantity of knowledge. It's more important. And then if you will start to think that probably not so easy will be with this propaganda.
Yeah, if you think and not just consume.
If you not consume. So if sometimes when I send my son some article, he immediately check to you yeah, if it's correct, what is link, where proves this. He already don't trust because somebody sell his link about this. What so the biggest achievement is for me.
I'm happy as a mom that your son is grandmaster and he spent a lot of time to play chess, to study chess.
Yeah, from 4 years.
Are you happy that he is?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy, and I recommend it to all parents if child have such skills or desire, not press, but if they really want if you would like to write a list of all these good quality which chess can develop. So this list I can write.
Okay,
probably
can you tell?
100.
Can you give us like 5?
Yes.
For example,
So for our viewers,
strategic thinking. We always complain that our countries there are no strategic view how to move Ukraine forward. Yeah, but I think who teach? We didn't teach children how to do.
Nobody teach in school, in university.
Do you remember? It's class strategic. What I Singapore, for example, do this. I check their math from second grade. They started to build strategic.
Singapore
built strategic. I was impressed. I was impressed. Analysis, planning, combinatoric thinking, logical thinking, creative thinking, ability to see. No, for example, I remember how my son was playing, watching on when he was small, watching on the ceiling, and I was worried that. He's not watching game, probably don't do it. And then later
don't focus on the game.
Don't focus on the game. I was worried that he didn't concentrate enough. And later when I asked him why you are watching and still and not on watching the desk, he said, you know, in my mind all these figures already disappear. They are distract me because they are still on the desk. I don't play chess. I even could not imagine that how it for me it's amazing how you people would remember
can imagine
all this changing, and they keep this in mind. What I don't have such quality. I would like to have, but I don't. So chess, it can train this spatial imagination. You know, all this change. I have people play 50 games simultaneously. You know, it's for me it's something.
Unusual.
No more than unusual. It's amazing. It's so many wonderful skill, and he, for example, he was very active child. Could not sit 10 minutes, but when he started to play chess, hours he played. Nobody wanted to play with him at home because everybody was busy, and then he played with themselves.
I did play with myself. Yeah.
Pencil in his side
for
to
white
play
and
chess.
then for black.
Yeah, for both, and write that with myself in right position.
So no need opponent.
Yeah, so I was happy. I'm so grateful to his teacher and Rabinsky, what he did for
his coach.
So I very recommend.
Our coach.
Our coach.
Yeah, your coach, the same coach.
Also, another quality that I would like to point out that chess develops is thinking for the opponent. It's like really useful in life to think about your neighbor. Like in the Bible even. Like you think about the people around you. If you think about your opponent,
What
you
they're
can.
thinking.
It's not even
And
necessarily
respect.
like enemy or opponent. Even it could be a friend or something. So thinking for the opponent
And respect ideas.
Yes, and while facing failure. So
Yeah.
when you lose, many people cannot lose. They cannot deal with it. In chess, everybody loses, even
Yeah,
Carlsen.
yeah.
So
How to
how do you
manage
manage
this, don't give up
how do you
after,
stand up again and keep on working? Because it's not easy at all after failure to keep on believing and moving forward. It's short list of
very
chess
short,
qualities
yeah.
that you can. So what we can recommend is just teaching children chess, and if they like it, just give them a chance to become
possibilities.
professionals. But in
Yeah.
any case, just even for like couple months or half a year, just for children to play chess and
Develop her minds.
develop the
Their
mind,
minds.
all these qualities is really useful. And then you can just drop it. Like in previous days, we discussed that we never heard about people complaining that they gave children to play chess. Nobody complains. They play. If they continue, very well. If no, thank you anyway. We liked it. So nobody complains that, oh, why did I study him chess? You know, it's everybody considers it to be useful.
And Mike is awaken and can do another different area work successful.
I heard that you wrote some books. Is it true or no?
Yes.
Yeah,
How many books did you write?
12 books.
12 books?
Yeah. Planet of Thinking.
Yeah,
Series,
so books on
How many
thinking?
time you spent to write these books? All life?
From 2001, probably 16 years already.
But step by step you
Step by
do.
step, yeah, looking, checking how children react, how they answer for each age.
So it's not only theory, it's...
No, it's a real textbook. It's a real textbook which we deliver 2 times a week in class. First grade, second, third, it's like a variety course.
Oh, it's not obligatory. Like
Not-
chess, it's not
no,
obligatory
yeah,
too. It's just you can choose.
You can choose this course if you want.
Yeah, you cannot force people to play chess or force people to study. Like, hey, you can try, but maybe it's not the best idea to
But
force
okay, a
people
lot of subjects they force us to study, and we don't want, but we should do this. So maybe it's one of the important also.
Yeah, don't press. Yeah, how much child want? Yeah. But when I notice also that when a child likes something, they can work hours and didn't feel that it will not exhaust it. When they don't like, in 10 minutes they will be boring and don't want. So motivation.
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
true.
important. Why we try to do this task more fun way, a fun story, some unusual. Picture, put some funny things to motivate children.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna go back to chess now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're a very interesting person.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Okay. There are some changes on the position.
Yeah, so h4 we discussed. Yeah.
h4 we discussed. Rook c8 was played. I think very logical move. Just
And bishop
developing.
f4 now.
And now bishop f4 is on the board. So white is just slightly improving the position. As bishop f4, taking over some squares and preventing e5, by the way. And preparing maybe g4, g5 now.
So this square in this opening is very important, right? E5.
Yeah, knight can jump there, black can push e5, yeah.
And
And
it's very
e4
important
also,
to
that's why
control
white
this.
controls it very well. If black could have played knight e4 at some point, by the way, maybe now, sorry, the knight is still hanging.
No.
Because bishop takes e4 and then takes on d7. So I thought maybe, knight e4 takes things. No, it doesn't work yet. So yes, some slight edge for white. Not much has changed. And I'm gonna consult with the engine now for a moment. Bishop to f4. Yeah, according to computer, not much has changed. Approximately same evaluation. So 0.3, 0.4. Yeah, something like rook c2 is now very, very natural. What can black do here? What can black do here? What can black do? Bishop f4. I don't like that knight on c3 is unprotected. Everything is protected. Okay, pawn on d4, but nobody is attacking it. Maybe it's time for black to attack that pawn, that knight, because it protects the e2 pawn, it cannot really move. So something like rook c2 or rook b3. Or bishop. I have a creative idea here. Oh, but it loses.
Maybe it's interesting rook b3 and then bishop takes e2.
Considering bishop d3.
Bishop d3?
Yeah. Just I want to attack the knight. If no, I can move the bishop to f5. If I can move it, I would be very happy to have my bishop on f5.
So what white should play?
White
should
plays
protect
rook
the
a8 and looks like white is winning after that. Bishop d3, and the b8 square is there. So rook a8, distracting the rook and losing the piece.
Okay, if rook b8 go back.
The bishop on f4.
Yeah,
that was the problem. So yeah.
So I thought about rook b3 in this position, and then bishop b2, something like this. So to make
interesting, rook b3. So
to use this head rank.
We can move the knight, but it has to go to d1, and I don't like it. So maybe we should protect it with rook, let's say, first to a3. Yeah. And then just exchanging, yeah? And rook is not on the 7th rank anymore, right? You can just take, take, and do some. Now g4, g5 is not that scary anymore. It's not that scary anymore. Okay. So after rook to b3, rook b3, I think it's a human move. My goodness, knight b1. Computer suggesting knight b1 after rook b3. Of course it's a move, but yeah. Unless somebody blunders here with some, like we used to with bishop takes e2 or something, we're gonna have a slight edge, but objectively it should be a draw. And bishop f4, 25 moves are made, 15 to go before the time control, 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
I think there would be no time trouble, at least the big one. And I think black, rook c2. What black has to do now is to exchange as many pieces as possible. Just exchange same pieces. If you can exchange pair of knights, thank you. Exchange pair of bishops, yes please. Pair of rooks, good to go. So she did play rook to c2. Yeah, it's quite reasonable to keep the tension on second rank and attack the knight. And now white has to either protect the knight from a3 or exchange the rooks with rook c1. Yeah, I think slight edge for white, lasting, but objectively should be a draw. And I think we're gonna go for a short break now. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We're live from Lviv, World Women Chess Championship match. White has slight edge. See you in a couple minutes.
Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere, a European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv, hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzyczuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage. and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Мріяти – загальновідома формула успіху. Мріяти і діяти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
I've always wanted to introduce them. Classic style, elegance, sense of rhythm, slow tempo, tart flavor. They've so much in common. Scent of rain and flavor of sweets. They know how to surprise day and night. Being with them makes me feel cozy. Which one of them do I love more?
Lviv is worth meeting.
Не боятися падінь – загальновідома формула успіху. Мати силу встояти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Chat with my colleague at the fireplace.
Morning yoga classes. To have my coffee served.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Hi everybody, we're back live from Lviv, where we're still in the middle of game number 3. For you working Women International Grandmaster Vita Krivoruchko.
And Grandmaster Mikhailo Oleksienko.
So when we left off, we had the position after bishop f4, rook c2, and Maria decided to go back with the rook from 7th rank to a3.
Which is interesting move. Why not, for example, rook 1 to a3?
Yeah, it seems much more natural. Seemed much more natural to do this. What could she have been afraid of? Back rank problem? I don't think so. What else? Is something like e5 and d4 possible? It's a little bit strange. Maybe now bishop to d3? Is that a move here? Bishop to d3, I wonder. Just I have this idea, I want to move my bishop to f5.
If, for example, knight
takes d5, that would, knight takes d5 and there's a fork. Yeah, I was thinking bishop e2, but then there's suddenly a fork on e7.
But if knight takes d5?
Knight takes d5, rook takes d3, and
knight takes f4.
And
knight f6.
And extra pawn. By the way, there's still, sorry, the knight takes d5. There's still knight on d7 hanging, but yeah, takes. Okay, extra pawn. That's not what black wants here. So, yeah, so bishop d3 unfortunately didn't work. But yeah, rook first to a3 seems much more natural if you want to play for a win, don't you think?
So
play more actively. But yeah, too late. Moving on.
h5.
Rook 7 to a3 was played.
And h5.
Played h5. Ah, interesting. Now when the rook is not anymore on 7th rank, black is not afraid of, for example, 2 moves ago, h5 could be met with bishop takes h5. You know, before, let's say, before rook c2, h5, yeah, could, for example, here, I'm not sure, the pawn on e2 is now hanging here. But after h5, there's always some bishop takes h5 ideas, bishop to g5, and that would be really unpleasant. So, for example, if here h5 would be probably an inaccuracy because of this move, and knight from d7 cannot move because we take on f6 and take on h5. Knight from f6 cannot move, so black is kind of strangled.
And pawn on h5 is weak now.
Weak, and g6 even more weakens the dark squares. So, but she played rook c2 and now h5. And now I think that's just it. If black can get away with h5, no e4, no g4 anymore, no more pressure on 7th rank. Yeah, I think I will have to consult with the... According to engine, I think Maria lost some advantage with bishop to f4 move. After rook c8, computers prefer any other move but that, like g4 was possible after rook c8. g4 was possible. That was her idea with the bishop on e3. With the bishop on e3.
In this moment?
Yes, 25th move, instead of bishop f4,
g4.
g4 might have been better. But, okay, after knight b6, computer gives some long line when pieces exchange and it will... Okay, computer line, computer time. Knight b6, g5, h takes g, and he suggested some knight e4 for a moment, but no. And knight goes back somewhere, and white has some edge, but objectively it's a 0.6, computer says. Ah, interesting. I wouldn't give that much. So, okay, it seems like g4, according to the engine, might have been an improvement. Or after rook c8, yeah, g4 was strong, according to the engine. Not much, still slight edge, not more than that. After bishop f4, precise move, rook c2, rook 7 to a3, and h5. Vitor still prefers white, but
because maybe
because of 2 bishops and weak dark squares. So he's saying rook c1 takes, And then e3. Okay, he changed his mind one more time. No, it's really close to equality now. Since there's no breakthrough, no weaknesses, how can white possibly win this? Black has active rook on c2. Yeah, now computer gives equality after h5. Yeah, so somewhere along
So
here,
h5
maybe it
is a
was
strong move in this position.
yeah.
And correct
Yeah, it
move.
didn't maybe work 2 moves ago, but normally, yeah, that is what you want to do. You don't want to keep the pawns on the squares of your opponent's bishop that is really strong. And this bishop on f4 is just shooting air, you know, it's not attacking anything. Yeah, it feels like that somewhere along the line.
So what Maria can play here in this position after h5?
After h5. How can white possibly... Okay, this rook on c2 is really annoying to me. I would try to exchange it, but okay, she could have done it earlier, right? She didn't need to go bishop f4. She didn't need to go rook c. So I would aim for something like rook c1, if I'm not blundering anything. Rook c1, exchanging that rook, but okay, what's next? I don't see a winning plan for white. Do you have any idea
if for
how can
example,
white improve?
king g2, what black will play?
King g2.
Yeah.
So we're not sure what is white's next move, right? We're not sure. Let's say g6, just to free that knight from the duties.
But all dark squares are weak, no?
Yeah.
It's not dangerous for you?
Without queens, I'm not too scared about it. The problem is, you know, the knight from c3 cannot move, right?
Yeah, it's a problem.
The rook from a3 cannot move.
And
the
rook
bishop
a1
from f3
only can
cannot
go
move.
to
The bishop
b1.
from f4 can move, but it's not changing much.
It's the best
so
square for the bishop, yeah.
So the only way I can think of is to exchange that rook on c2, because
it's a problem for us, this rook, yeah.
Yeah, another. I was talking about Jakob Ogart in previous days. That he's a good coach in my opinion, and one of the ideas that he's suggesting is just ask the question, which is my worst piece and what does my opponent want. In this case, I think white's worst piece is rook on a1.
Yeah.
It's just doing nothing. It's standing nicely, but it's doing any other piece is having some protective or other duties. Rook on a1 is bad. Rook on c2 is very active, so it makes sense to exchange it. But takes. Okay, black even can ignore it, move it to b2, but yeah, black wants a draw, so he would exchange it.
Yes, you see, Maria played king g2.
You guessed her move. I don't think
I read her minds.
So at some point, white will have to exchange the rooks, which would simplify the position even more. Yeah, now I think white is really sorry that white played h4. If white had a pawn on h2 or pawn on h3, there's a great plan of improving the position. It's still h3, g4, and g5, kicking those knights eventually away.
But as I remember, she played h4 with the idea to push g4, g5.
And she
couldn't
didn't do it. She should have maybe done it, though it's like in first game, the question is like something 0.1 or 0.2 evaluation, and that's not much. It feels like white lost huge pile of the advantage. So I would go g6 for black, or even knight g4 is playable here, I think. Just knight g4, but
king h7.
King h7, also a move to go. King h7.
Yeah.
King h7. What's the idea? Just moving pieces around,
yes.
I guess. Is she aiming for king g6, do you think? Why not?
Why
the
not?
knight is not around. King g6, yeah.
Do you think? Oh my
it
god.
Looks weird, but why not? Unless there's some
know.
e4 takes, and some checks. Yeah.
Yeah, and king is in the same diagonal as rook, so it can be dangerous.
I think if white does some other move, she can even go back to g8, you know, like she did with the knight. And I don't think a lot will change. She can just go back and forth. I don't see a plan for white. She can just move pieces around. with no
So if
apparent idea.
I'll push e4 here, she will take, d takes c4, knight takes c4, and maybe just bishop d5, something like this, yes?
Oh yes, and we are gonna be the ones in trouble.
Yeah. I want to use this diagonal.
Yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, e4, let's put it on the board for our viewers. So e4, we're trying to use the diagonal, takes, because there's a rook on c2, we really want to beat it. So, but there's bishop d5, and maybe there are some other moves.
d4 pawn is weak.
d4, we weaken the white squares, weaken the pawns, and I don't see what we are gaining there. Yeah,
Rook c1.
That is what was my prediction. Rook c1 is needed anyway.
So now you read
Yeah, both
minds.
Mind readers. Okay, she's gonna take. She's gonna take now.
Yeah.
If she was playing for a win, she might have considered some rook b2 move. Just keeps the pieces, etc. But she's definitely okay. And now she's gonna... Oh, e5 is possible here. Just simplifying the particular e5. And if you take, suddenly your bishop cannot escape the exchange. And with different colored bishops, it's okay. She's not nearly forced to do that, but she can. e5 is possible. Any other move is possible. But this one looks also nice. Let's say, oh, d4 is now threatened. Oof, that could be even unpleasant. I thought about something like bishop g5, but then
maybe bishop e3, no?
Maybe
knight takes f3.
I'm not sure if she's gonna go e5. She's in the mood of playing quietly, you know, simplifying
But okay,
the
if
position.
she will push this pawn.
Okay, rook. Oh, sorry, king h7, rook c1. Yeah, bishop e3 is possible. Hoping that you take, I take with a pawn. Let's put it on the board. Bishop e3, knight takes, pawn takes, and then bishop goes to d4, and we have some pressure. Still a draw. Still a draw.
But black has passed pawn.
Passed pawn, but we can make it. Even if we win it, yeah, okay. Even if we win it, you know, it's still gonna be a draw. And different colored bishops really increase the chances of a draw. So she can go e5 now. What else can she can go back king g8? Just, you know, like
to wait.
Dramatic. Just go back and forth and just what can you possibly do? And I have no answer to that. What can white possibly do? I give you 5 moves ahead. Just don't take my pieces, please. But what could be your plan? You can put the bishop on g5. That looks active, right?
Yeah.
You can move the rook to a7. Let's say you do that. I'm still going back and forth.
But then I can take on h5. Be careful.
Bishop takes h5, knight takes h5, rook g7. Thank you. You found the idea. Yeah. And it's 3 moves. And black can play g6 or just do something else. Black can play, oh, I think she's going to play rook b8, rook b3, exchanging crooks. That.
Maybe.
If I wanted just a draw, that's what I would do. e5. Normally, if you're not 100% sure, you don't want to change the position at all, especially with no need. So, though I think objectively e5 is a good move, rook b8, let's say bishop somewhere, rook b3, are just forcing the exchange, and without rooks, it's just nothing. Just everything is protected. I'm gonna ask the engine, but yeah, what the heck? The engine prefers e5, but yeah. Rook b8. On rook b8, he prefers e3. Oh, come on. It's just equality. And he gives 0.3. That's his evaluation, you know. And after rook b3, he's really happy with the exchange. He says, wonderful, wonderful advantage. Wonderful advantage. But, yeah. 0.5 after exchanging rooks and playing e3. That's not serious. Yeah. These are the bugs in the code of the engine. Sometimes they give crazy evaluations to, you know, that humans evaluate the position differently. We look at the material. We look at what happens next, and we look at plans and possible ways of improving, right? So here there's no possible way of improving.
Yes.
And same piece in close positions, knight against bishop is not a big difference.
And
did
she
play-
pushed e5.
Play like engines. She pushed e5. Yeah, objectively it's a good move, but if I were her, I would maybe exchange rooks. Maybe that's why I'm not on that chair.
Yes, you're right. Only one reason why you're not there.
Yeah, now e4 threatening wins a piece.
So white should take on e5.
Okay, there's e3 move, but with this approach, white can be in trouble eventually.
Yeah.
So
And
white
to close this dark square's bishop.
So takes, and we considered bishop e3, yeah, as an option. Black can actually wait with taking on g4. Black has some other ideas. Maybe now exchanging rooks, you know, or maybe take on f3 and exchange rooks. That. Takes. Hold on, after d takes, no, there's no tricks, no. And we're expecting takes, and bishop e3. Preventing d4. What can black do here? If I were black and I really want to draw, what do I do here? I don't like my knight on f6. Just very passive.
I don't think that whole dream about draw. She makes the best moves, and if it's
Maybe-
draw, okay, it's good. Why not?
Probably you're right. Yeah. She just says e5. I take her bishop. I activate my pieces finally, and that's a good move. That's a good move. So takes, and we're expecting bishop e3 because d4 is really unpleasant, right? If black plays d4, white could be in trouble. So bishop e3 looks like a reasonable move. Bishop to e3. There should be some way to equalize really quickly.
You still think about draw?
Yeah, I don't see. Okay, I'm just trying to stay object, but still white is slightly better. Open positions, two bishops, etc., etc.
But okay, after knight f3 g.
Yeah, after knight I take with the pawn, and I don't like the knight. Maybe if you can improve that knight, let's say move it to e5. The rook is not active. I don't see what can I do here. How can I? Maybe black shouldn't really think about improving, just standing where black is standing. Well, is there any other move except bishop e3? I don't see any other possibility.
Maybe e3, but this move blocked the bishop, so...
Yeah, that's very sad for our white squares to play e3 and for our bishop on c1. Knight cannot really move, the rook cannot really move. Rook a7, there's a c-file problem. You cannot leave pieces like that. So bishop e3, I don't see.
Yeah, we should stop d4.
There's also bishop g5 move to consider.
If d4,
And
bishop
bishop
takes f6.
Pawn takes f6.
Knight e4.
Knight e4. Some fight suddenly. Let's consider bishop g5. Interesting. Nope. Bishop e3. Just played it. I'm gonna consult with the engine for a second. Bishop g5. He was claiming, okay, anything. Just protect the knight on f6 or move it. Anything. Bishop e3 was played. Yeah, computer says anything. He says takes on f3 and moves the knight someplace like d7. So let's say knight takes f3, pawn takes f3, and the knight on f6 is really bad. We want to improve it to d7. And if bishop d4, oh, I like this knight b8 move. Knight is going to c6. Knight b8, and if we pin with rook a8, the rook moves to g8. Computer suggestion,
God.
not mine. 0.00 after rook g8 or rook h8. Which one you prefer? I prefer g8 a little bit, but...
She took on f3.
Did she offer a draw? I think
didn't
it looked
see.
like she offered a draw because Maria looked her directly in her eyes. Maybe no, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but this is e takes f, and now, yeah, it's another task for 3 questions. Where is the weakness? What is the worst piece? And what does my opponent want? The worst piece is knight on f6 after e takes. Okay, e takes f is gonna be most likely played.
Yeah.
Knight is the worst piece. The weakness is the d4 square and the pawn on d5, 2 square. And what does my opponent want? Bishop d4. So I just move my knight, my worst piece, to the weakness, preventing my opponent to just 3 in 1.
And
Just
move knight back, yeah? Knight
By the way,
d7,
knight
knight
d7,
b8.
knight d7, bishop d4. I think knight f8 might be more human, right? Knight f8, slightly more human approach.
Yeah.
Just with the same
With the
idea,
red
basically, but no
subrogate
pins
also.
or anything.
Knight
She
e4,
took
it's
with the
interesting.
king. Oh. She didn't want to.
To double the pawns.
Okay, no, but. And she played knight. No, that's it. All of black's pieces are great.
To exchange.
That's a draw. Knight cannot really move anywhere.
So endgame with different squares bishops,
the
of
game
course,
is gonna
draw.
end something like this. And they agreed for a draw, I think. Yeah, the only way to play for a win in this was e takes f, but objectively it's still 0.00. Yeah. No, king takes. Maybe she was already slightly worried to not lose, because after e takes f, well, black does have a passed pawn. You know, you never know.
Yes, I told you about this few minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, after king takes knight e4, she played really quickly and confident. There's no way the game's gonna end any further than several minutes. Yeah,
so what do you think about if it will be draw? What do you think about the next game? About chances Maria to win that game for black, as we find it yesterday?
For tomorrow. Okay, after today, I think we find, assuming they agree for a draw shortly, I think she would be quite happy.
Yeah.
At least it looked like a very confident draw. If you don't use engine, if you just look at the game as they did, it looks very confidently. White got 2 bishops, but couldn't do anything about them. Black exchanged all the pieces and they agreed for a draw. It looks like a very confident draw. Okay, computer can give can argue, but yeah, from the point is that the feeling was that black did confidently a draw and Maria couldn't do anything with her opponent. So psychologically, Hoye Fan can be happy after this game, and tomorrow Maria's task would be to not lose. Not losing would be psychologically.
Hoye Fan will try to win, of course.
She would really try to win, and
her strategies are understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight takes e4.
Pawn takes. No, it's 2 more moves, I guess. Yeah. And now
King
tomorrow
takes.
she will have hard. I don't think Ho will push too hard, but given that she's 1 point ahead, she would play aggressively, because even if she loses, that's okay. We're still even, you know.
But okay, draw is still good for her. She can make all draws next game.
No, I think that she can now. Maria cannot really make too many risks, because one more loss and, well, that's close to over.
Yeah,
but Ho can lose 1 or even 2 games and she will still be in the game. So maybe tomorrow she would fight hard like the last time. And I think tomorrow Maria should be quite happy with the draw. Of course, she should play like Ho did today, with the best moves, not playing for a draw, just the best moves in the position. But I don't think she thought much about winning the game, Ho, given the opening and given the way she played knight h5, knight f6. The minute she could exchange pieces, she did it. So she played, her strategy is very clear. I played only for a draw with black, unless you push too hard. And I press you with white, try to seize advantage.
Rook a5.
Maybe the last interesting moment in this game is who's
again
gonna offer a draw.
Same question. Nobody want to offer draw.
On one hand,
f6.
should be Maria. She was playing the whole game for a win, and
Yeah.
it would be like acknowledging that I'm not playing for a win. Like, objected it 0.00, right? So it's not much to say here anymore. I'm waiting for, yeah, Maria should play some rook c5 move and offer a draw. I think that would be reasonable. Yeah.
I see she's a little sad, yeah?
Of course, second white, she's gonna have 3 more white pieces, hopefully, for her. And winning with black, it's really unlikely in my opinion. So today she had more chances than in first game, I think. At least according to computer's evaluation. And at least she had 2 bishops. In the first game, she
has no chance.
no seeable advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe a tinier, it was easier to play for white.
Yeah, you are right. But did she offer draw? No.
No, Ho will take. She will take back, and he would offer a draw. Oh,
Yes, Ho offered draw.
Yeah, that's a draw. That is a draw, I think.
So today without action at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we did a small summary here. We see an arbiter stopping the clock, making sure that everything is according to the rules, signing sheets, stopping the clocks, putting kings to fix the result. Yeah, Maria's not happy for sure. I think Ho should be quite happy with her performance today. And yeah, what I can recommend to Maria is playing more riskier openings for white, and hope to there's a saying, I'm not sure if there's a saying in English language, to seek fish in muddled waters or something, in dirty waters, just hoping to get some mess and then try to catch the fish in it. Because from what we saw today in first game, when it comes to equalizing in symmetrical positions, Ho is quite strong in that
yes,
matter.
and draw is enough for her. She doesn't try to win, so she is happy.
Maybe if the position is really complicated with some initiative, there could be, because I didn't see a single moment where she was nervous. At least when there's some tension, initiative, unclear position, it can backfire. It can go both ways. But I think that's the way to try to. But I'm not sure how to get that with white. E4, E5, Rui Lopez, or Berlin. Just quiet endgames or symmetrical positions. After d4, she plays very solid. I'm assuming Nimzovich or New Indian. It's quite hard. There are some variations in New Indian where Bogo Indian in English, where white sacrifices the pawn in the center and gets some initiative. Maybe she should aim for that. Talking about variations where white plays d5, black takes on d5, and white gets some initiative, something like that.
But we will see it tomorrow.
Yes, we'll see it tomorrow.
And you have homework, remember this puzzle. So we are waiting for your answers in chat. We will check it
Yeah, we didn't
later.
have time to check it now. Maybe you already did.
Yes.
You already did it. Okay, thanks for watching. We were live from Lviv, Ukraine, Pototsky Palace. Lovely city. You should come visit. And see you tomorrow.
See
Same
you tomorrow.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere, a European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv, hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzichuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage.
Bend and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Мріяти – загальновідома формула успіху. Мріяти і діяти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
I've always wanted to introduce them. Classic style, elegance, sense of rhythm, slow tempo, tart flavor. They've so much in common. Scent of rain and flavor of sweets. They know how to surprise day and night. Being with them makes me feel cozy. Which one of them do I love more?
Lviv is worth meeting.
Не боятися падінь – загальновідома формула успіху. Мати силу встояти – формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Chat with my colleague at the fireplace. Morning yoga classes.
To have my coffee served.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
шахова столиця України.
І не лише столиця, але й колиска. Наприкінці 19 століття у кафе «Гранд» півсотні ентузіастів організували перший львівський шаховий клуб.
Все почалось в середині 19 століття, почалися тоді перші шахові клуби. І в Європі була така традиція, що клуби організовувалися в кафе.
Інтелектуальна гра стрімко розвивалася. Найкращі місцеві шахісти регулярно їздили в Європу на різноманітні турніри. Дві світові війни цей процес пригальмували, але не зупинили.
Але справжній такий скачок, стрибок, я б сказав, відбувся після 45-го року, коли до Львова приїхав видатний тренер Олексій Сокольський, який тренував Леоніда Штейна і виховав головного батька львівських шахів Віктора Ниловича Карта. І з нього все почалося. Віктор Нилович Карт виховав першу плеяду львівських гросмейстерів Білявського, Романишина, Марту Літинського та мене. І на основі цього пішов подальший розвиток.
Я ще пригадую, що дуже популярним було місце шахів в парку Костюшко. Там кінотеатр був, під кінотеатром колись стояли. Там навіть приходили більш знані шахісти. Можна було під шахівницю покласти один карбованець і грати, хто вигравав. Можна було приходити і виграти кілька карбованців. Це була досить велика сума в 60-ті роки.
Граючи завжди та повсюди, у Львові випликалась ціла школа шахів. Зараз у серці Галичини мешкає 22 міжнародні гросмейстери. Таким списком навряд зможе похизуватися ще бодай якесь місто у світі.
А всього в моєму списку є тих людей, які носять звання гросмейстера і пов'язані якимось чином зі Львовом. Чи тут народилися, чи тут вчилися, чи якийсь час мешкали і виїхали. Їх є 43 особи.
І, звісно ж, ніхто не сумнівається, що це ще далеко не кінець.
Матч FIDE за звання чемпіонки світу з шахів у місті Лева.
З 1 по 18 березня.
Стань свідком народження наступної шахової королеви.
Welcome back to the press center of the World Women Championship match.
Знову ласкаво просимо вас в прес-центр матчу на звання чемпіонки світу.
The third game of the match finished in a draw, and the score in the match at the moment is 2-1.
Третя партія матчу завершилася в нічю. На даний момент рахунок 1-2. 2-1.
So I would like to ask the players first to say a few words about the game, about the opening today.
Будь ласка, учасниці, скажіть кілька слів про партію і про дебют сьогодні.
Я думаю, ця позиція до ходу слон b5 вже раніше розігрувалася.
I think that position till move bishop b5 was already played in other games.
Okay. So bishop b5, yes.
Зараз після партії мені здається, що можливо мені не варто було спішити з ходом a4.
Now after the game I believe that I shouldn't have hurried with the move a4.
Instead of a4, what would you like to play maybe?
Можливо, ферзь d2 якось.
Можливо, ферзь d2 було краще замість a4. Sorry, maybe queen d2 was better instead of a4.
Okay. What else you can say?
Так, якби появилася така спросована гра.
Here the play became some kind of forcing.
In general, how did you estimate your position after the opening for both players?
Загалом, як ви оцінювали позицію після дебюту? Питання до обох учасниць.
Let's put this position, for example.
Ну, звичайно, що перевага білих незначна.
Of course, white has some slight advantage.
Але, можливо, недостатньо для перемоги.
But maybe it's not enough for win.
Can you please explain what do you mean about when you say about edge, about advantage? What exactly you mean?
Що саме ви маєте на увазі під перевагою?
Ну, все-таки в білих два слони.
White has pair of bishops.
But the position is a bit closed. But...
Позиція все ж закрита.
Ifan, what can you say about the opening and how did you estimate the position here around this move?
Yeah, I agree with the judgment and well, it's still too early to make the conclusion that since it's just right after the opening.
Пані Фань погоджується з думкою Марії, зарано робити якісь судження, тому що ще тільки вийшли з дебюту.
Question also to Maria, it's quite difficult to switch from E4 to D4 and D4 happened in your practice not so often. In general, how is it for the player, professional player, to switch on the first move?
Питання до Марії. Не так легко міняти перший хід з Е4 на Д4. Як вам було? Ви не так часто граєте Д4?
Так, справді в мене набагато менші партії з першим ходом Д4.
Really, I play D4 not as often as E4.
Але я вважаю, що для того, щоб в шахах прогресувати, треба вміти грати Е4 і Д4.
But I believe really to make progress in chess, one must be able to play both moves.
So if we continue with the game, there were a few moments I wanted to ask you also. First of all, here, after you took, we were just wondering if you considered the move G4 here immediately.
Повернувшись до партії, ми хотіли вас запитати, чи ви тут розглядали хід G4?
For both players.
Обох шахістів.
Мені би здавалося, що з такою турою на Б2 варто так не ризикувати.
I believe that with such strong rook on B2, one shouldn't take such risk.
In general, you considered it's already like an equal position or still with chances?
Ви оцінювали цю позицію вже рівною, чи ще зберігалися шанси для вас?
Я вважала, що вже досить мало шансів.
I believe it's quite few chances for me.
Все-таки два слони на одному фланзі.
Only two pair of bishops, but pawns on the same wing.
But let's see maybe now, because it's an interesting point. Just, you find, have you seen something like this?
Yeah, it's possible since my knights are a bit weird. If you break this connect, it will cause some problems.
Те ж саме питання до пані Фанні. Так, G4 можливо, тому що проблема з моїми конями, воно може зробити якусь проблему.
Напевно, А6, H4 варто чорним включити.
I think insertion of H4, H6 to black's favor.
Тепер треба думати, може кінь B8.
Now one black has to consider maybe knight B8 here.
But isn't it a bit achievement for white?
Може це вже досягнення для білих?
Or not, it's concrete position?
Це конкретна позиція.
Я так не думаю, що тут велика перевага в білих.
I don't believe that there is enough advantage for white here.
Yeah, and okay, there is a second moment when you could play G4 again. It was here, the same question, let's say.
Другий момент, коли ви могли піти G4, тому те саме питання в цей момент.
Okay, it's different moment, of course, but...
Як я вже сказала, в мене трохи пасивні фігури, слон на Е3 не грає, кінь на С3 підвисає і робити такі ходи, як G4, не для цієї позиції.
As I already said, my pieces are poorly coordinated. Bishop on E3 is passive, knight on C3 hand gain, so it's risky to play G4 in such kind of position.
And I also wanted to ask Ifan, did you consider here to play H5 immediately instead of Rook C8, and if it's possible?
Питання до пані Фань, чи ви розглядали тут хід H5 замість тура C8, чи він можливий?
Yeah, definitely it's possible, and the type of the position is similar to what happened in the game later on.
Я думаю, що можливо, але воно по оцінці схоже на хід в партії.
Yeah, probably it's just how to say, to catch the possibilities.
Можливо, цей хід більше обмежує можливості білих.
But Rook C8, the idea of the move Rook C8, just wanted to know, just to put the Rook to play.
Яка саме була ідея ходу тура C8? Просто ввести туру в гру?
Oh, well, it's just a normal move.
Просто звичайний хід.
And later on, the pieces has been changed, and it was a draw. Would you like to add something here in this game?
Пізніше всі фігури були обміняні і просто виникла нічия. Чи ви можете щось додати про цю партію?
Я думаю, що саме основне вже було сказано.
I think that main things were mentioned already.
Чи є запитання у преси?
Dear press, do you have questions?
Мікрофон.
До обох учасниць. У кожної може бути своя відповідь. Який момент в партії кожна з них вважає за критичний, коли треба було задуматися і прийняти якесь рішення?
Ви маєте на увазі в цій партії? The question for both players. Which moment in this game you find to be critical? You had to stop and think for a while.
Ну, я вже частково відповіла на це запитання. Мені здається, що 17 хід А4, що варто було спробувати дещо інше.
I partly answered this question. I believe it was 18th move A4. Maybe I should have tried something else.
Wow, okay, it's kind of slow game. Probably there are some subtle things at some moment, but it's hard to say that there are, specific moments which really think is very critical.
Це була повільна партія, можливо, були якісь покращення, але важко сказати, де був саме критичний момент.
Wasn't any moment you find that you were a bit afraid of coordination of your pieces? Because, as you mentioned, these knights can be unstable at one point.
Чи не хвилювалися ви трошки щодо координації ваших фігур, пані Хуїфань? Тому що, як ви вже згадували, ваші коні не виглядають надійно.
Well, it's just this type of position with quite closed, but there are some tiny chances probably, so it's hard to say.
Це такий тип позиції, він закритий, є якісь мінімальні шанси, важко сказати.
So you felt quite confident, let's say, just to be sure.
Ви відчували себе впевнено?
I think at any moment the confidence is a good thing.
Ну, я думаю, так.
Ще запитання?
Question to you, Хуїфань. How did you spend yesterday rest day?
А чому тільки до претендентки? Ви знаєте, як Марія провела?
Why is this question only to Chinese player? Do you know already how Maria have spent this day? Okay, question for both of them.
Probably expected something unusual, but for me, I just take some walk around the city. Although there are some interesting things happen, but yeah, quite a good day to have some rest and to walk around and see the city a little bit.
Я гуляла просто по місту, щось цікаве траплялося, але просто відпочивала і гуляла.
Марія?
Ну, в основному те саме. Взагалі я вважаю, що вихідний день існує для того, щоб відновити сили.
Mainly the same thing. I just believe that the rest day is to come fresh for the next round.
Have you noticed a huge chess set in the center of Lviv?
Чи ви помітили набір великих шахів в
Not
центрі
far away
міста?
from our hotel, by the way.
Недалеко від вашого готелю.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Ще ні.
Я бачила шахову дошку біля мерії Львова.
I've seen the chessboard next to the rat house of Lviv.
And okay.
Are you satisfied with conditions in the match? Are you happy with everything? Maybe you lack in your Chinese cuisine, or okay, just are you happy with all conditions?
Since the match is just started, so I think it's too early to say about this kind of thing. So probably I'll keep my words now.
Матч лише недавно розпочався. Я думаю, зарано про таке говорити. Можливо, якщо щось буде, я скажу.
But of course, the city is, it's historical, and there are many things to see.
Але місто дуже історичне, і тут багато чого можна побачити.
What about Chinese food? Have you found any at the moment?
Як щодо китайської їжі, ви знайшли щось?
Which you like?
Through my walking, I found, yeah, of course, we found some Asian style restaurants, but we didn't, try it.
Ну, поки ми гуляли, ми зустріли кілька азіатських ресторанів, ми спробуємо.
So we have a huge... also the question to Maria.
Так, наразі все влаштовано.
Yeah, Maria is happy with everything.
We see the huge interest to chess here in Lviv. What about China? How do they follow the match? Do you have any idea about it, Fan?
Yes, we have many followers in China through the internet. As you might know, there's 6 hours time difference, but still many people are following online, including my friends, and also I heard many chess fans as well.
Як щодо тут в Україні, у Львові ми маємо величезний інтерес до матчу. Як щодо вашої країни, чи там теж так слідкують за матчем? Так, там дуже багато слідкує за матчем, незважаючи на різницю в часі в 6 годин, все одно багато моїх друзів і прихильників слідкують за матчем.
So China is not sleeping.
Китай не спить.
Окей. Ще питання? Чи є питання ще?
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you so much for participating in this press conference. Дуже
Дякую за участь в прес-конференції.
Lviv, with ancient architecture and magnificent atmosphere, a European city with Ukrainian soul, where everyone drinks coffee, savors chocolate, and plays chess.
Chess capital of Ukraine, the city of Lviv, hosts the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match this spring from 1st till 18th of March. Maria Muzichuk from Ukraine and Hu Ifan from China will come together in a duel for the title of Women's World Chess Champion.
18 days, 10 games, impressive chess battles, and uncompromising fight.
Witness the birth of the next chess queen in the city of Lviv.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Have my lunch in the park. Have a relaxing massage.
Band and acquire.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.
Загальновідома формула успіху. Мріяти і діяти. Формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
I've always wanted to introduce them. Classic style, elegance, sense of rhythm, slow tempo, tart flavor. They've so much in common. Scent of rain and flavor of sweets. They know how to surprise day and night. Being with them makes me feel cozy. Which one of them do I love more?
Lviv is worth meeting.
Не боятися падінь. Загальновідома формула успіху. Мати силу встояти. Формула, якою керуються перші. Прагни першості.
What would be cool to have in your company? Let's ask our ladies.
Chat with my colleague at the fireplace. Morning yoga classes.
To have my coffee served.
Looking for your IT partner? Symphony Solutions. Cool to work for, cool to work with.